Good evening, gamers, and welcome to another action-packed episode of Games with Dave. Tonight, I have the pleasure of being joined by game designer and all-around awesome person, Lewis Porter Jr. from LPJ Design. Lewis has been making high-energy games and supplements dating back to 1997. He's currently running a Kickstarter for the Amazing Universe, a Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition campaign setting right here that you can get from Green Ronin Press. And check out the Kickstarter, back it, the link's in the comments, and also be sure to check out Lewis's Patreon and jump on that because he is putting out some awesome stuff. Welcome to the show, Lewis, man. I am so excited to talk.
Thank you so much for having me. I do appreciate it. I always like to tell people, yes, I've been doing this a while. I enjoy it. If I wasn't doing this, I'd be selling drugs somewhere. But I decided this is much cheaper. But I don't really think it is.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I don't know that the gaming world. And we got our first viewer, Keegan300, says, greetings to one and all. How you doing?
What's going on?
All right. Yeah, I don't know that gaming is much cheaper, man. I got so many bookshelves packed with books around my house that if I wanted to develop a crack addiction, man, I could sell them and I'd be able to get my fix for like months.
It's the whole gimmick. It's like, which is cheaper, crack or RPGs?
Yeah.
It's like with comics.
Flip a coin. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, thank you. Look, it's not an addiction.
Says gaming is an addiction.
Sometimes you need a fix. Don't act like you don't like it. I mean, come on.
Yep. It is an addiction. That is for sure. So, I mean, first off, you make a crazy amount of products, man. Your brain has got to be going like 24/7.
I have to say it's not a good thing because usually I'll create whatever I feel like. And I always tell people my favorite worst product is we did a product called Bad Dog. And it's a source book for dogs for D20 Modern. And I'm like, who in the world would need a source book about dogs? And I'm like, I would. So that's why we're doing it. So yeah, I mean, it's not always good to do what your brain says. Try it out. What's the worst that can happen? Don't do that.
This is what my brain said to try out, and I'm so far so good.
See, it keeps you off the streets. There you go. That's taking a look at it. So yeah, and I mean, there's also stuff that, I mean, for myself, I always tell people I only like making stuff that I don't always see. I don't want to, and I know this is going to offend some people. I don't want to do another book about elves for anything.
Mm-mm.
I don't know why people are like, oh, I'm doing another dwarf book. Oh, I'm doing another elf book. I was like, why? These are the most boring races, and it's like, oh, sorry, ancestries. Now they've changed it, and it's just like, oh, this is come on. Tall, skinny guy, short, fat guy. That's not exciting. That's not exciting as a new race. I don't get it. I don't get it. But people seem to love it. That's why I always say, take stuff from science fiction, twist it around, and pull it into your fantasy, and vice versa. And you always get some cool stuff.
What would be cool is to make, I might inspire you to make something new here. Because I know you've made a bunch of Starfinder products. So take the Waisoki and bring them into a universe like the Amazing Universe.
I'll just say one of my earlier products, Neo Exodus, we did psionic Ratmen.
Ooh, that's cool.
Now, when I made them, for some reason I didn't make the connection. People kept saying, "Oh, you're doing Skaven from Games Workshop." I'm like, "No, I'm not doing Skaven." And then I thought about, like, am I doing Skaven? And I didn't realize it. Like, maybe I am. I'm like, I don't know. So, I mean, look, things come up. I've done. I guess the worst thing I did with the elves was for Obsidian Apocalypse. We did neo-Nazi elves.
Oh man.
Because elves are Nazis. Elves are Nazis.
They are the uppity up blonde hair, yeah.
I mean, they're Nazis. We're better than everybody else. You're not as good. They're Nazis. They are Nazis. So
And that's even been explored. Have you seen that game Spire?
No,
Where it's I just drew a blank on the two designers, but the elves, they live in this tower, but they subjugate the drow basically. And it's like,
Nazis.
yeah, it's like, and the whole purpose of the game is to overthrow the elves. And
Hello,
it's like, yeah,
Nazis. So yeah,
yeah.
oh, that's right. Undead Nazi elves. That's what we were doing. Undead Nazi elves.
So we got Newtsy saying happy Monday, Newtsy.
I mean,
And then Deacon says, I always thought of elves as communists. It's
too easy. Too easy. Nazis. Everybody hates Nazis. It's a great
yep,
villain.
punch an elf.
You know, who wouldn't? Hello? I mean, oh my God.
Oh man. So one of the first questions I always ask folks is what got you into gaming as a kid?
It was really a goofy accident. I had moved from living right outside of Dallas to my hometown in Connecticut, Danbury, Connecticut, and I saw some guys playing D&D. I was like, "What is that? I don't understand. What is that?" And we're talking 1981. Yeah, 1981. I happened to go back to Dallas for one weekend for something. One of my old friends, Doug Brader, I'll never forget, goes, "Hey, I got this cool new game. You got to check it out." I'm like, "What's that?" He goes, "It's called Dungeons and Dragons." And there my crack addiction started. So, and that was, we played for a weekend and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And then I got really into it. And then I found friends who played up there in Connecticut and I've been playing ever since. And
Yes.
I think in like 90, 95, no, 96, 97, we were playing a fantasy game. My buddy did some work on, and I kept saying, I can do a role playing game. I mean, it's not that difficult. I mean, how difficult could it be? I mean, come on. And I said, you know what I'd love to do? I'd love to redo my favorite RPG of all time, Top Secret.
Ooh.
And love Top Secret. Always have. The original one is still one of my favorite games. And out of that, I developed. I thought I was gonna do Spies. And then it really kind of developed out of that. Because I'm like, Spies weren't enough. I go, let's do urban crime. And initially, we called the game Point Blank, and that evolved into Haven City of Violence. And that was the first big release that I did. And that was crazy because that was just, I mean, I didn't know anything at that point. I was even still early in my graphic design career. And I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to do whatever. And that's how I got started. And I found out quickly how many people wanted stuff for D20 Modern. They didn't want new systems. They only wanted D20 Modern or D20 at the time. And then we did stuff for that. And then out of that, I did a bunch of products, just a whole line of products. I kept saying, oh, I want to do a fantasy setting that isn't like any other fantasy setting. And that's how I kind of developed Neo Exodus out of that. And, the best way to describe Neo Exodus, it's my fantasy love letter to Babylon 5.
Nice.
And that's all it was supposed to be. And I kept doing products for it. And I did, and it was weird because that was going on and that was just going, we're just doing so many products. And then I said, oh, I want to do a horror thing. I'd love to. And I kept saying, it'd be a cool gaming setting if you combine Dark Sun with Ravenloft. And I was like,
interesting.
Yeah. And that went through my head for a long time. And then initially I developed it as Obsidian Twilight, which was the first run in it. And it was kind of like, I don't know, maybe. And then we evolved it further and it became Obsidian Apocalypse. And, it really is 100% my love letter to Dark Sun and Ravenloft. And, they had all the standard races, but then I did some really new and unique races. One of my favorite ones, and I stole this. I told you, I stole this from Legion of Superheroes with Ra's al Ghul. It's a group of humanoids that are basically just psionic blood. And they basically burn through their bodies using their psionic energy, and they need new bodies. So they've got to have all these dead bodies hanging around. So a lot of them necromancers. So they take over an old decrepit body, rejuvenate it up, making it fresh and new. And maybe for a week or two, they have a fresh new body, but then they need another body later on. And that just kept going. And I did that, and that's so that's one of the toughest ones I did. But at the same time that's going on, my wife was going through cancer, and she passed away like towards the end of us even developing in that. And that was really a horrible time for me. And I tell people I married the right woman for all the right reasons. I couldn't have asked for a better wife. But that time was so stressful. We were finding out my son was having massive vision problems. He also has, cerebral palsy. For people who don't know, my son is, we say visually impaired. My son is blind. Let's just, let's just call it like it is.
Yeah.
And my wife was in bad shape. My son was doing this, and this is my son. At that point, was only 3 years old. And really, my wife we discovered my wife's cancer 6 months after my son was born. So, I mean, I was juggling all this stuff. And then my wife passed away before my son even turned 4. And I'm just like, oh, this is horrible. And I did a Kickstarter for the Obsidian Apocalypse. I had to get it out. And I finally got that out. And I said, okay, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to do some regular stuff. I'm not going to do any more settings. No more settings. There's not a setting I want to do. I don't want to do any more campaign worlds. No, no, no. And then I got an opportunity to do some superhero stuff. And I was like, you know what? I want to do superhero stuff, but I don't want to do the same old stuff. I really wish I could do some really cool superhero stuff. And the hook I've always had in my head was, I want to do a world like Chris Claremont and John Byrne's run on X-Men, plus Marv Wolfman and Perez's run on Teen Titans. It's like combine those together, and that's kind of how I got the Amazing Universe. And so many people are like, I can't believe you said that. That's pretty high praise. I'm like, yeah, I'm a comic book fucking fan. What do you think? I've been a fan for 40 years. Well, 40 plus. So it's like, yeah, I mean, and I wanted to do that kind of cool stuff. So I took some ideas and I deconstructed what I wanted to do. And it kind of came down to 4 things. I said, comic books are basically 4 genres. There's traditional comic books, there's espionage, urban crime, there's fantasy, and there's sci-fi and high tech. And if you focus it like that and think of the world like that and break off little pieces, you can develop the world from those little 4 things. And sometimes things cross over, whatever, but just go from that. And that's kind of what I did. So, I thought about like, how would superheroes be superheroes in the 21st century? And, like Marvel, the MCU, secret identities are really kind of a passe thing. I mean, yeah, you still have it, but it's like today everyone's got a camera. It's like that couldn't be a real thing. So we kind of figured that. And the Civil War idea of superheroes need to be run by the government. Yeah, that would be true too. And corporations would be involved. So yeah, so we took all that kind of stuff, and now 4 years later, here we are with 100 products for the Amazing Universe. So many more to go. It just is.
And you did it again.
I did. I thought it was only going to be a couple products. I planned for it to be only a couple products, and 100.
That's crazy, man.
And
in 4 years.
It happened so quickly. It really does. And I blame this. If you ever want to start a gaming company, here's the trick. Here's the massive trick to make you a superstar, but also drive you crazy. What you do is you break down what you're doing into small books. Too many people want to do like 400-page books. Don't do that. Do like 8, the most 6 to 8 page books. You make them cool. Like we do 2 characters per book. It's about 68 pages. It's our official handbook of the Amazing Universe. Yes, I stole that title from Marvel. I don't care. We do 2 heroes, and we put them in there, or villains or whatever, and put them in there like $2. And then we get enough of them. We combine them together, put them into print. So now you have the print version, or if you don't have enough money for the print version, buy the PDF version. And you keep doing that. And if you release, and people are going to laugh when I say, if you release a product a week, you do it for 2 years, you'll have 100 products.
That's crazy.
And you're going to get, it's easy to do. You just don't have any kind of social life. You don't spend any money except on you are an artist, and you just make products.
Damn, that just sounds bonkers to me, my friend.
And it is. Oh, it's crazy. And people think I'm crazy for doing it, but I'm telling you, if you seriously want to get into like any market and you're like, well, what if my stuff sucks? Your stuff's gonna suck anyway. It doesn't matter. Put it out there. Remember, I did a product on dogs. Dogs. No one is saying, oh, that's what I've been looking for, a product on dogs. It doesn't matter. Put it out there because you're going to do crappy stuff. Your first stuff will not be good. Don't kid yourself. It's going to take some while. Just put it out. Put it out. Put it out. And you'll be surprised. You'll have fans. It's, you know, people, it's that simple. It's just that simple. It's not like I'm doing anything special here, guys. It's not, you know, I mean, and because people make it sound like, oh, you're doing magic. I'm not doing. Any idiot with a high IQ of 60 can do what I do. This ain't special.
I don't know, man. I've struggled just to get one thing out, and
just get it out. Just get it out. Just put it out. Let it go.
Yeah, I got it out. It's coated with 3-star reviews, but whatever, I got it out.
Dude, that 3 stars, that's great. I've gotten awesome 1-star reviews. That's the best. Because 5-star reviews, yeah. It's your friends and your loved ones care. I don't care about those. Give me the crappy review. Tell me what you really hated. What you really hated.
Well, that's what makes you better.
Well, that's the best part. But most people don't want to hear the bad stuff. They want to hear the good stuff. I want to hear this. I want to hear the bad stuff. We've had some great 2-star reviews. I mean, you know, if I get a 1-star review, I know this person really hated this. And I've got people saying, oh, I thought it was going to be this and not that. And I'm like, that's bullshit. That's not, come on. Give me a review. Tell me you didn't like the math on this. Tell me you thought this was that. That's what I want to hear. You know, if you tell me it's great, hey, I appreciate that. Don't get me wrong, but I want to see where we're messing up. And even if it's a mess up.
Right.
You know, one guy complained on an adventure we did. There's one scene where you're fighting a warehouse full of ninjas. And this is for like an OGL product back in the day. And there's like 100 ninjas in the thing. And the guy's like, there's no way you can fight 100 ninjas. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to run. But so many people just stayed and fought. It's like, why don't you guys run? Oh, I can't run. What do you mean you can't run? Running is a legit tactic. What are you talking about? Run. And
you can tell they didn't grow up in the 80s.
You know, run. So yeah, and just keep putting out products, putting out there, and you'll get better because you don't have a choice. You're gonna get better. You're gonna see where you made the dumb mistakes. You'll see you made some great ideas, and just, you know, my secret sauce. That's everybody. Here's my secret creative sauce. Jam 2 things together that you don't think would fit together. Peanut butter, chocolate. Jam them together. Amazing.
I can't argue that.
Here's a one that's always crazy, but I tell people: seafood cheesecake. Sounds horrible, right? One of the best things I've ever eaten in my entire life. I ate it in New Orleans. One of the best desserts I've ever had in my entire life. When someone said seafood cheesecake, you're gonna love it. I'm like, oh my god, that sounds horrible. But trust me, eat this. The guy's like, eat this. Don't worry about paying for it. We'll cover it. Eat this. It'll be the best thing you've ever eaten. It was exactly right. It's the best thing I've ever eaten. It's amazing. Amazing. Name sounds horrible. Doesn't make sense.
It does.
But it's awesome. It is awesome.
What was the seafood that was in the cheesecake?
It was like a shrimp and lobster mix. Oh, yeah. But you didn't taste it. That's the thing. If you think you taste it, you didn't taste it. That's where you're like, what the? Yeah. Okay. Food in New Orleans is amazing. Yeah. But like, if someone comes to you and goes, seafood cheesecake, you're like, but it was, you know, so I was just jam 2 things together that don't seem they fit and make them fit.
When you say cheesecake and seafood, I picture like one of those Jello mold salads that my grandmother used to make. That, you know,
no. I tell you, it was creamy, it was rich, it was one of those things you're like, this is gonna suck. You're like, oh my god, this is amazing. It was like, yeah, it was. But once again, it was New Orleans. They specialize in food. I trusted them. Best choice. You know, best choice.
Interesting. Well, if I'm ever in New Orleans and I get it suggested to me, I will try it based solely off your advice to try it. Because
yes,
I am the pickiest damn eater you're ever gonna meet. So it'll be like Mikey likes it when they hand me the seafood cheesecake, and I'm like, this is good.
It had an almond crust to it. That's one thing I was like, an almond. Like, what the? This is what? Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy, but it was one of the best things I've ever eaten, ever.
Wow.
So yeah, That was a dessert. That's that was literally. It's been over a decade. I'm still thinking about it.
Crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna when I go back through and listen to this, I am gonna make a note of to make my next product. I'm gonna take two crazy ass ideas and just smash them together.
Yeah, yep, and you'll love it. You'll love it. Come on, undead Nazi elves. That sounds crazy till you do it, and then it's amazing.
Yeah, and you basically, yeah, that would be pretty amazing because you could punch them and they just keep on coming.
Because what is an immortal? I mean, they're old living anyway, but then they've become immortal, and they're
Yep.
going to think they're better than you. So of course they're going to have that level of arrogance of course I'm better than you. I live forever. You live like 10 seconds. You're like a housefly. Oh, that kind of arrogance only leads to bad things.
Yep. It sure does.
So, it's like, hey, you can do some cool gaming stuff. So, like I said, that's what came out of that. So, I mean, I just try to make things that I enjoy, like things I don't always see that I want to see. And I know why they like for Mutants and Masterminds. I know why they couldn't have done the Amazing Universe. They've got to do a very generic type of world to get everybody involved. It's got to be a very, very, very specific kind of feel, and I get it, and I totally understand that. But I'm like, I can't. I couldn't do it for my personal self. God no. God no. The worlds I make need to be unique and they need to be creative. They got to be different. And
Yep. Yeah.
superheroes are a great one.
The weirder the better for me. It's
Yeah. I had a buddy. Now, that being said, I have done some incredibly controversial books. I did a source book for D20 Modern on abortion.
Oh man, that must have gone over like a fart in church.
Now, I'll tell you, it's actually a really good product. We're talking from a very medical specific situation. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And you can actually play it. I mean, not the abortion part you can play, but I mean, there's bodily damage, that kind of thing. It's like this is an actual cool idea, and people went nuts when they put that out, and so many people cursed me out for it, and I loved it. I'm so petty. I love that. When people were telling me you suck, yes, let the hate flow through you. Yes, I love that.
Let it flow.
It's so wrong, but I love it. So yeah, and that was like 15, 16 years ago. That was one of my favorite, most controversial things I've ever done. And we still got it for sale. Still got it for sale. And every once in a while,
Didn't let them scare you off.
No, why?
You're still here 15, 16 years later. So that's what I love about it.
These guys want to scare you off. They want you to kowtow to them. That's why I don't do cons anymore. I used to do cons when I was younger, and I used to be like, yeah, go down. And then it became like too nichey. Everybody's I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to be in a niche. I'm just trying to do cool stuff. If you know this person, you're cool. If this person, I don't want to deal with all that. I don't want to deal with any of that foolishness. I just want to do cool stuff. Cool stuff. If I can do cool stuff, I'm happy.
Well, you got it covered doing the cool stuff, my friend. So
I love it because there's so many cool things. Okay, so like comic book. So I guess I should pitch the Amazing Universe. So you should support our Kickstarter because number one, it's amazing. We have done a lot of cool things. There's a lot of cool stuff that I haven't released yet. Everything is inspired by something comic book related. Our main group, like for example, so our main scientific group is called Twilight Inc. It's very much a Fantastic Four for the 21st century. I like the Fantastic Four as a concept, but I'm like, they need more people. There should be more people on their team. There should be more specialized scientists on their team. It's great that Reed's the smartest guy there, but you need cool powers, stuff like that. So, our character, like our main leader, she has geothermic powers, lava blast, stuff like that.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
Is she a quantum? Her powers are, even though they're geologically based, her expertise is like in quantum physics. And like everybody's specialty of what their powers are is not connected. But I always thought that was weird. Like, oh, I just happen to be a specialist in this, and I got superpowers in that. I'm like, come on, dude, that doesn't happen that way.
Yeah,
It never happens that way. So we have Yeah, so she does that. One guy, look, it's the Absorbing Man. The Absorbing Man is one of my favorite villains, the greatest power set ever. I love that power. Touch things that become it. That's a great power. That's a great power. I don't see why they don't do that more often. We've got one guy who basically it's Hydro Man. So some really cool evil things you can do with water. Geez, a lot of horrible things you can do with water. Um, and then one of my favorite powers of all time, catalyst control. If you're not a fan of Legion of Superheroes, you may not know there's a character called Chemical King, and he deals with chemical reactions. And while gaming, it's amazing what kind of fun things. Yes, we have a character very much like Green Lantern. Gamma is very much our Green Lantern type character. So chemical reactions. You're facing Iron Man. You know, he's wearing an iron suit. You know what happens to iron over time? It rusts.
Rust, yeah.
So how does that mean turn your iron suit to rust? Or my personal favorite one. And you wait till somebody punches you, it makes it even cooler. You hit them with a little blast. They don't feel anything. I don't feel anything different. Okay, punch me. You've weakened their bone by removing the calcium in their bones. So when they punch you, it all collapses on itself. So imagine the amount of compound fractures you have. And if you have super strength, it's probably there's a good chance you've destroyed your arm, so much so. But you don't notice it till you break the bone. But you won't notice it until you hit something.
And then it's just going to sound like bubble wrap.
Yeah, that's always fun. That's a fun one. Another one. You can use electrolysis to break break water down to hydrogen and oxygen. So any water-based guys, you do electrolysis, boom, you split their atoms in half. So, or you can do somebody's regular body. You take the liquid in there, break it down to its components. How painful do you think that is? So there's lots of cool things you can do with science. Yeah, I'm a science geek too, so science is fun. And then we have my favorite engineer, Muto, who has a physics distortion field.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm going to break down the laws of physics as I see fit in a small little area, but I can do all kinds of stuff. So, like gravity, I would ignore gravity. I'm going to walk against the wall like it's walking on the ground. Well, how about if I can change the distance between things? So even though I'm standing next to you, you can't punch me because really I'm across the room and you're not. But I've warped the space. I warped the space in a nice little way. Yep. Yeah, there's lots of cool things you can do with a little bit of science. So yes, that was my version of Fantastic Four, and I said, look, let's make them an organization. They're a corporate organization. They have other people hired. They hire other superpower people to work for them. And these are the top guys, and there's tons of other smaller people underneath, and they're doing scientific research and doing that stuff. But they're also making money because that's what you do in the 21st century if you had to live as a superhero. You do some of your powers to make you money. Like Peter Parker, I don't understand why he doesn't have an app. It's like, why is Peter begging for money still? He is not a begging 60s kid. He's incredibly smart. Now you'd be like, oh, I'll develop a small little business. I'll do this, and I can still be Spider-Man. And that would be the most logical thing for him.
Yep.
But they don't do that for some weird reason. No, Peter's still got to be the poor photographer. Dude, no one's doing photography like that anymore.
Nobody. Well, everybody is now, but it's with these.
Right.
It's like,
so it's like, you can modernize them a little bit. And, I appreciate the development of Miles Morales. I didn't at first, I admit that. Until I saw Spider-Verse, the first and the second one. I'm like, oh, I get it. Miles Morales isn't for me. I'm too old for Miles. I'm like Peter. I'm old. I'm bitter. I'm like, the young people. Okay, now I get it. Yes. So, and I think that's cool. But you also have to not be afraid to get rid of characters.
Yeah.
They can't. Because we need a character to survive. Now, which I don't get this, and I still think this would be beautiful for DC. Batman Beyond is the greatest idea how to deal with Bruce getting older.
Yeah.
Because that's what Bruce would do. Bruce isn't going to stop fighting. He'd find some young kid, turn him into a new Batman, and he'd take an advisory role, and that would be perfect for him. And you do that with the older characters. And then you still get the connection to the older guys. And if you want to kill him off, great. But like 10, 20, 30 years down the road, not a problem, because that's not Batman anymore. This is Batman. Bruce Wayne used to be Batman. Now he's not Batman anymore. It's Terry McGinnis. And Terry McGinnis is a cool character. And this is why Terry's cool. And you just keep developing like that. But they don't want to do that for some reason.
Well, they might kill somebody off, but they bring them back with a surprise in 5 issues, And it's like,
I mean, the only person they brought back that I thought was, it couldn't have been more perfect was Bucky.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when I heard he came back, I was like, that's stupid. And you read it like, no, that's actually pretty smart. That's a smart way to do it. It makes sense. And it still doesn't cheapen the death.
That was what, Jim Lee, right?
No, that was actually Brubaker. Ed Brubaker,
yes.
Yes. And it's like, that was a long shot that could have flopped. Because I remember I started reading that book initially when it was the first issue, and they kill the Red Skull. I'm like, oh, the Red Skull's dead again. I'm like, oh my God, this is so stupid. And I kind of stopped reading. And then all the cool stuff happened after that. I was like, God damn it, go back and read this. But I think it's just finding really cool things you can do with superheroes and doing them. It's so do you say the Amazing Universe for more than boys? And no, you know what? No, I don't. Okay, there's a question popped up. I want to.
Yep. I'll throw it up on the screen so everybody can see it.
Yeah. So no, actually, it does not, because I'm not a fan of the boys. Let me just put that in perspective. I'm not a fan of the boys because I think comic books need to be fun and exciting. Invincible is probably the closest thing that I think the darkest I think comic books should go. I mean, there's tons of blood in that. Like, Jesus, there's a lot of blood. But it makes sense with that. The boys, to me, adds the funniness to, like, haha, isn't it all cute? Isn't it? And it's like, dude, if people did have superpowers, they probably would act like that. And I get that. But at the same time, I wouldn't dress in those silly costumes. The military would be involved with these guys' lives. You wouldn't be like, corporations wouldn't have these guys. Oh, no way. These guys are all doing military service. And that's kind of how we developed the Amazing Universe. It's like everybody has a superpower. You get recruited. Once you find out you got a power, okay, this is how it works. You got to get a license to be a superhero. You're going to send you to one of these 3 schools. They're the 3 major schools. One is a military academy, one is a technology, and one is liberal arts. So maybe you don't have, like, we have a character, Evangeline Kirby. She has a pretty interesting ability. She is a lawyer, and she basically understands languages. Think Cypher. If you like Cypher from New Music, same kind of thing. But she's taken it to such a degree. She's like, how people communicate like that. She understands that part of it. So much so she can learn how to cast magic.
Wow.
She can, as I describe it like this, there are people who use language who've described how to touch the sun without burning themselves. And she can understand that language. And that's not just language. That's just math and just understanding and comprehending that whole aspect to it. She just happens to focus on the law. That's just, she's a lawyer for Twilight Inc. So she's their interpreter, but they're a lawyer. And if you had to deal with law all day and you handle with languages, you're gonna get those nuances. You're gonna catch that on. I thought that was a kind of a cool power. Now she doesn't have a big tough power, but she doesn't go out and try to fight and punch people. That's not what she does. She's the legal aspect of it. She's the more terrifying part. She's like, look, I know you got these superpowers, that's great, but I'm going to put you in jail for the next 50, 60 years, put your family in jail, take everything you've got. She's that kind of terrifying. And I think that part needs to be talked about, because superheroes punching each other is cool, but superheroes discovering new worlds. What is this language? Oh, hold on, let me look. Okay, this means this. There's great things you can do from that. And it's not a typical power you see a lot. And people are like, oh, it's a weak power. Who would want that power? Well, if you think about it, you can do some cool things. Because, Doctor Strange, he read a lot of books, understands some stuff. That's how he does magic. Well, if I interpret language that way, why couldn't I do magic like that?
Right. Yeah.
And we have our version of Spider-Man. It's a character named Onyx. Now, Onyx wears it's a nanite suit. He found a costume from one of our main groups, Strike Force, that has their own uniforms. He took the uniform, found pieces of it, took it home. Smart kid, broke it apart, figured out how to make his own suit. Now he's a superhero. Would I do that? Of course. If I was an intelligent kid in that kind of world, yeah, why not?
Yeah,
And
if you could take a suit and just manipulate it and make yourself into a hero with that. So he doesn't have powers, or
nope, he has no powers. His suit has all the powers. It's very much Batman Beyond Spider-Man. He's a very new character. Well, really, he's one half of Power Man Iron Fist. So his partner is a girl named Rebel. Now, and it's Rebel. It's spelled Rebelle, female Rebel. And the
yep,
running line with her is like, "I'm a rebel because I rebel." So, and she's Power Man. She's very strong. She's tough, and she belonged to one of the more powerful criminal organizations, a gang, in the setting. But they screwed her over, and now she does her own thing. So he's very much like that kind of character, and he's the Iron Fist to our Power Man. And he's only 16, about 16ish, and she's like 19, 20. But she doesn't really. He knows everything about her, but she doesn't know everything about him. But they are good friends. But she still knows that he's young, but she doesn't realize how young he is.
right.
So it's that whole little thing like, yeah, we're friends, we do stuff together, but I have a family that doesn't know I'm out here being, the superhero. They think I'm just a nerdy kid doing that. All the kids at school think I'm this nerdy kid who just happens like baseball, but in reality, he carries a baseball bat around him all the time. Well, it's actually his costume, which is a liquid in a
In the
liquid
bat.
form, nanite in the bat. With the bat is actually a weapon too for him that he uses. So it's that no one suspects him. He's a dirty kid. He loves baseball. No. He's a superhero. He's a real superhero. And just like Spider-Man was, because no one ever believed Peter Parker was Spider-Man, and that's the kind of setup we want to have with that. And that's the kind of feel we want to give people, like that classic. Okay, this makes sense, and then we do that. And most of our villains in our stuff are former heroes who've had things happen to them. They said, "F this. I'm going to be a bad guy. This is stupid." And our big criminal organization is a group called the Syndicate, and 100% inspired by Marvel Comics Masters of Evil. I always like the concept of the Master of Evil. I like when they attack the Avengers Mansion. There's
Yep.
20 of them attacking the man. I'm like, 20 bad guys against 7, 8 good guys. That's how it should be. So our team has 15 bad guys. And they run the gambit of all the different power levels of reasonably, tough superpowers to dangerously deadly people. And 15 is a lot of people. And most of our superheroes teams have between like 7 to 9. Most places don't have 15. So I thought that was kind of cool to do. And I thought that was what we want to do. Oh yeah, Helix. The problem with Helix. So Helix is a great idea. It's AIM plus Hydra. The
Ooh,
problem
nice.
is that when I made them, I keep going back. They're AIM, they're Hydra, they're AIM, they're Hydra, they're AIM, they're Hydra. And I'm like, I really want to do an actual AIM. No, that's what I have Helix for. But I want to do AIM. No, we can't do that. So I keep debating, like, so I'm kind of stuck myself that I want to do a splinter group off of Helix, like Hydra and AIM or splinter group, but I want to make them more like terrorist. So I've still been developing that for a while. So that hasn't been developed. We haven't talked about that yet. This is like the first time I've said it here. And kind of out of that, inspired from actually Harm was the name we used for a while. Maim was one we went with. We were going with really like let's do some really cool and but still haven't done that yet. So kind of out of that, we did a group called all right. So technically the group is called the Tin Soldiers, but I keep calling them Toy Soldiers. I'm still going back and forth. And the best way to describe them, think of the Reavers for the X-Men, like all these guys that Wolverine may have slaughtered during their time and turned into cyborgs. And I'm
Yep.
like, that would happen with old spies. And our spy organization is called Eagle. Think Shield. And what happened if these guys got blown up and stuff that they got parts in? They'd kind of feel a way about that. So I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So we've made this group and they're doing that. So we're still developing them out. We let the first three characters we just finished the artwork for. So, and I haven't released them yet. I got to get poor Mark Hart, who is the writer for most of the stuff for the Amazing Universe. Mark does a ton of work. I always feel sorry for him. But it's like, Mark, I got a crazy idea. Let's do this. It's like, okay. Mark, I got another pet. Let's do this. Like, okay. Mark never says no. Nothing is out of line, and we do just so many crazy things that we have planned. So many crazy things. So yes.
Well, I can't wait.
Yeah. And if you and I tell everybody, if you want to start with us, do the smart thing, get our Welcome to the Amazing Universe PDF. It's pay for what you want, buy it for free. It's over 200 pages, it's like 250 now. It gives you tons of stuff about the setting, gives you pictures of tons of stuff, gives you lots of bios and images so you can find out who the good guys are, why they're good guys, what team they're on, that kind of stuff. And you get a lot of the cool stuff. Yeah, I think I mentioned him. So we have a character named Gunther Haas. And if you've been watching us, Gunther Haas gets mentioned a lot in our book. We haven't told you exactly what Gunther Haas is. He is a bad guy, and he's got what I consider to be like the best superpower you could ever get. If you're a Legion of Superheroes fan, see, it's a lot of great stuff you can steal from Legion of Superheroes. A lot of great stuff. There's a character named Nemesis Kid who has a power that when he gets within range of you, he gets your powers, but he gets them at a greater level than you do. So imagine
you're gonna get jacked up when he's
right. So imagine a guy who goes to Green Lantern. I get all the Green Lantern's powers, but even more so. Or if I run into Superman, I get all of his powers and more so. And I've always thought that was a cool ability. I'm like, that's a cool villain ability. So we use the same thing for Gunther. So Gunther has the same power. And, as a bad guy, Gunther, we haven't shown this picture. We've shown his regular picture. There's a regular picture where he's wearing a shirt. He's a skinhead. He's a neo-Nazi skinhead. I would think with skinheads. Don't hate me. I just think they're good villains. And he's a neo-Nazi. So we have one picture where he's wearing a shirt. There's another one that we have, same picture. He has his shirt off. He has a huge swastika that's covering like half of his chest right here. And I said, we won't put that one out to public because not everybody will feel the same way I feel about it. I mean, he's a horrible character. I think villains need to be villains, and I don't have a redeeming quality for him. And, I know he's dangerous, and I know even our heroes are terrified of him. And to make it even funnier, he led one of our Strike Force groups, number 3, as a leader for that group. And then some events happened, and he was kicked out. He was supposed to serve some time. Things didn't happen. And Strike Force 3 became our big place where some villains were developed. And some heroes who were anti-heroes developed. Yes, Legion of Superheroes show was actually quite good. My favorite episode always will be with the Karate Kid, because I think the Karate Kid is one of my favorite Legionnaires, because no power, but super karate is a great power.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like, what's your big power? I'm going to punch you in the face a lot. Great power. You don't have to, I said, that's a cool power. I punch you in the face. People get that power.
Yep. Not nowadays, like we were talking about earlier before we went on the air. It doesn't happen enough to
get a punch in the face. Punch in the face. Everybody understands it.
Yep. Yeah.
I wish they would, but not always. So yes. And let me see. We've got our adventure. We did our first adventure path, Helix Agenda. It's all about Helix. We get to introduce 2 new villains, which you'll be meeting over and over. Bomb and Pulse. And Bomb is my homage to the original Golden Age Atom, Nucleon, Atom Smasher, Cyclotron from DC Comics. I'm a big Golden Age fan, always have been. I think they've got the best. I think DC does that very well. Their Golden Age JSA is very, very cool. And I said, hey, I want to get some of those characters on mine. So like that. And, it's a cool 6-part adventure series. You can play them individually. We also introduce the Paramentals, which are it's our Fantastic Four analog. Instead of it being earth, water, fire, wind, we did magma, ash, steam, and lava.
Nice.
So you did that whole fun thing. They get introduced in that. Their big leader, Tempest, who's a weather controller, he gets introduced in that series. Somebody else gets. What am I missing? Those two. Somebody else, another group gets introduced, and then we've introduced one of the members of the Mosaic Trust, which is our anti-Fantastic Four. I mean, why wouldn't bad guys open up their own corporations to hunt down scientific investments and then sell them to the highest bidder?
Yeah.
It makes sense. So we have that going on. Yeah, like I said, if you like comics, you can find something for everybody in them. There's definitely a lot of homage to things. I just saw the question. This is going to be funny to me. Let me get my bottle of water because it's going to be one of those questions. Okay. So, remember Onyx? I told you a while back. So Onyx has a group of people that don't like him. There are super powered villain gang called the Concrete Dragons. They are a large group. They have their own supervillains. And his arch nemesis is a guy by the name of Omen. Omen is really his opposite. Well, this guy's more like hip hop, that kind of feel. This guy's suit and ties, but he's also incredibly dangerous. Doesn't have any superpowers. You think, you're not sure. Pretty dangerous. He's the anti-Onyx, is the best way to describe it. So I went back and I kept saying, I got to do a cool character. What cool character I want to make? And a billion years ago, I wrote an outline for doing an update for the Invaders for Marvel Comics. And I came up with all these new characters. And one of the characters I wanted to update was the Scourge of the Underworld from Marvel Comics. Now, if you don't know who that is, during Mark Grunwald's run early on in Cap, they wanted to get rid of a lot of old characters that were just doing nothing. So they made this character the Scourge and had him kill off characters. And I always liked that. And then when the official handbook of the Marvel Universe came out, John Byrne did a drawing of the character. And he's in this white coat. He's got this skull mask and this big old hat. And I'm like, I'd love to do a character like that in the Amazing Universe. And back in the Invaders. And we came up with a character that was actually based off of the organization that made the Scourge, which was the Angel, which is another, good Lord, Gold Age Marvel character. And there's a whole big connection. And I made this great connection. This thing was perfect. And since I never got the script off the ground, I kept saying, hey, there's a character I can use in the Amazing Universe. And that character, initially, we were going to call him the Angel. And I said, no, that's a stupid name. And I said, well, let's call him the Avenging Angel. And I go, no, that's even a dumber name. But I want to keep with a kind of like a motif of holy. I'm like, let's just call him Halo. And I'm like, Halo's a good name because he's killing all these guys. He's putting a Halo on these guys. I was like, yeah, he's killing them. So like, okay, Halo. Makes sense. Because you think of DC's Halo, who's all friendly and nice. I'm like, no. This guy's a killer. He's got the machine gun shooting people up. He's very much, I don't want to say the Punisher, but it's the Punisher. But it's not the Punisher.
So yes, do you have an analog for Mad Dog?
No, not yet. Well, I do. He's sort of look. I said, if you think of a character, I have either something that's already done in print or I got something in the back of my head. It's so sad how many characters I've done. I mean, we did one for the Jack of Hearts.
Wow.
Yeah, Jack of Hearts is one of my favorite characters. Best costume ever. I feel sorry for every artist who has to draw it, but that's an amazing costume. And I like the character. And I always said he would be a great Avenger if they'd use him correctly, but they never do. Another character I would put together and make a great character with, but I digress. So yes, we made him a villain in our world, and he's trapped right now in the Black Box, which is our prison for the setting. Which, Mark Hart just finished doing. He's done all 12 of the originals, first Cell Block 1 inmates. Now he's working on the warden and the assistant warden, all the people there, and the I would call them the people who are helping out. Oh, Cyberforce podcast. Yes, we do have that. We have a couple of characters. We have an artificial character named Blaze that was kind of if you combine the Vision and the original Human Torch together.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. It's amazing if you've got flaming powers and density manipulation, what kind of damage you can do flying through things.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah. That's one of those like, oh God, yeah. Fire when when you're as hot as the sun, you fly through things, that's bad. But you're also phasing and changing your density. And, oh my God, yeah, it's pretty horrible. So yes, you have a character named Blaze for that. Um, Cyberforce is, I'd say, was very much like the Tin Soldiers kind of feeling to that. Um, yeah, I mean, we've done. Yeah, it's like you name somebody, we probably have done something to it or have something planned for it. It's quite sad. It's really quite sad.
Nothing beats skin tight chrome.
That is especially. I must admit, that's a good look. It's a good look. It's a good look.
I don't know how you remember all these characters, man. Like, I must have smoked
If
too
you had,
much dope in my time because I could not remember. Like,
I learned interconnect them. That's the only way you remember them. Give everybody something unique and specific, and then interconnect them. Like for example, like the two first characters we started with, Gamma and Beta. They're brothers. They're twins. One is white, the other is black. Now people are like, well, wait, they're yes. Now they're actually based off a girl I knew in college. Her parents were Jamaican, dark-skinned Jamaican. She came out. If you saw her, you like she's white. I don't even like she's light-skinned black. She's white. Like you'd never know. It's like that girl's Jamaican. Like yeah, she's Jamaican. No way. Those are her parents. Yeah, no way. You're like it's got to be adopted. Nope. They thought, but when they got her, they thought, oh no, she can't be a baby. We must have got the wrong child. The DNA check. Nope, that's their child. Just genetics are interesting. So I said, yep, that's kind of cool. Because once again, you have one brother who is the epitome of what you'd expect a superhero to be. He's the one that people think is Captain America. And the other brother, that is not. But he's the one that does all the hard stuff. He's the one that does all the hard stuff. His best friend is a character named Epsilon. Epsilon is our Wolverine / Captain America analog. And blood full of nanites. Super tough, invisible, lots of cool things you can do with nanites. He does all that stuff. What also makes the character a little different, he's gay. He's openly gay. He's out there, no big deal. Do I care he's gay? No, I don't care if you're gay. It doesn't matter. And that's the way it should be. He's a badass because he's a badass. And he has a boyfriend. Now, this is where it gets interesting. His boyfriend is part of a triplets called Cerberus. There's three brothers. There's Ace, there's Deuce, and there's Trip. Ace, and the best way to think of these three characters, imagine if Nightwing, Red Hood, and Robin, Tim Drake, were all brothers and all triplets. And that's how we did them. So the other brother, Ace, is Nightwing. Deuce is the love interest for for Epsilon. These guys are super butch macho guys who just happen to be gay. They have a relationship. And then Trip, who's the youngest brother, is dating another member from Strike Force. He's dating Delta, who is a matter manipulator. She specializes in metal, rubber, glass, and plastic. So with those kind of powers, you can make your own power suit. Or weapons.
And some.
Or technology. Right. So that's what she does. Her sister is the one on Twilight Inc., who is the lawyer. The lawyer's love interest is Gamma from Strikeforce. Just keep interconnecting it. Everything gets interconnected. And just keep going deeper and deeper. And that's the only reason how you remember stuff.
Man, that's still a lot to remember.
And telling you, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And then you get even crazier when you find out, this person is connected to this person by this way. We have father-son relationship problems. We have mother-daughter relationship problems. Everybody who exists they have a good thing and a problem. And you just find a way to connect them. And you just keep doing that over and over, and you just keep making more and more connections, and it makes it really, really a lot of fun.
This sounds
And it
like
forces
way
me to
too
do
much fun.
yeah. And it's like I said, it gets deeper, and the deeper you get, and like I said, and I'll tell everybody now, since I don't always, this is something I know. When I initially did this, I wanted to do as a comic book, and the plan was we're going to do a comic book series, and we're going to do our whole universe. And I wasn't going to do like massive crossovers because I didn't think crossovers were a good idea unless something important happened. So my idea was for the first 5 years, we're going to develop this world, get everybody going, get the connection, da da da. And theoretically, in year 5, we're going to have an alien invasion. Because back in like year 2.5, 3, we have aliens that arrive on the planet for the first time. And it's like, whoa, alien, whoa, there's no such thing as alien. So these aliens arrive. And they're like, Earth isn't that important. No one really gives a crap about it. It doesn't have a lot of strategic value. But you might run into aliens. There've been aliens coming here for a long time. Don't worry, we don't want to interfere with you. Da da da. Well, year 5, you find out these bad aliens who just discovered Earth and think, oh, it's got a lot of things we can use and take, and they invade. And then for 3 years, we talk about the invasion and the repercussions of the invasion going on. And then that goes on for like another 2 years after that. And then we finally get rid of them 2 more years. So we're talking 6, 7 years of this invasion, how it affects the world. Crazy. And usually most stuff's over like by this. Oh, it's got to be over the summer. Like, no, dude. Then we go back to status quo. It's like, no, this is going to be a long, drawn out, painful thing. And, my theory was within 7, 8 years, there's some characters we may not like anymore. And we may just have to kill them. And it's because it's a perfect reason to kill them. It also gives us a perfect reason to kill characters that people like. It's like you never know what's going to happen. Someone could wind up dead tomorrow, and that I think is important. It's like
actually dead, I'm sure. In this
universe. We're not bringing them back. We're not. There might be a new character, but we're not bringing this one back. There's one character in particular. From day one we knew he was going to die. I've always said this guy's going to die. I'm not going to tell you who he is, but this guy's going to die. He's going to die horribly and violent. And people are going to be like, oh, my God, I can't believe he did. Yes, we did. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, you don't need to keep, like, regurgitating the characters, man. It's like...
Kill them off. Kill them off. It's give them a good hero's death and kill them off. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's like what she says in Man of Steel, and I just lost the line. The best death is
good death. A good death. You're right. What's her name? Says too. What is this? I see his face. I can't think of his name now. I keep saying Stabler from SVU. No, that's not his name.
Yeah, I know. It's
Stabler. Not Stabler.
Oh, Colonel
General Lane.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's like that. There's nothing wrong with killing characters, and I think it's good to do that because you need to have new characters. You need to think of new ideas. And look, I understand it's a corporation; they don't want to kill the golden goose. I get it, but you can do different, like Wolverine. I love Wolverine, but now we have a female Wolverine, and then we got a son Wolverine, and then we got Gabby, who is still Honey Badger is a great name for. I think that was a great name for a small teenage Wolverine. I'm like, that's great. But let's not do Wolverine again. You don't have to do another Wolverine. You've got 4 Wolverines.
Yeah.
And you've got like 2 Captain Americas, and you got 4 different Hulks, and it's like, come on. Yes, I would like to do annual updates because, like I said, we're going to kill some people. Some of these adventures, we have plans where people are going to die, people are going to change, people are going to grow up. Like our version of, I guess it'd be the Teen Titans, is Strike Force Alpha. A good death
is its own reward. Thank you.
And that is a great quote.
Yep.
So our version of the New Mutants, Strike Force Alpha, they're in college. They're in the college now, and they're starting out. Some of the characters are going to evolve and continue on to go to Strike Force. Some characters are going to go into private service, and some are just not going to be heroes at all. But I like, you're going to have these nine characters we have. Maybe only 3 of them get to the big leagues, as they say. And we're going to do another year of new kids. So it's always going to be these new kids coming out with new powers and what they do. And you're going to see how they grow. Some kids will get killed because that's what happens. Some kids will live and be bad guys because that's what happens. And you just keep making new characters. And I think that's important. I also think, it's important to also give creators a percentage of what they create, because that's important also too. And I think that's also important. I don't think comic books want to do that because they're corporate entities. We want to own everything, and you just work for us. And you get nothing, and it's like, that's stupid. Why would you do that?
Well, look at what they did to frickin' oh boy. Well, just about every writer from back in the golden age that signed off their rights.
And they don't have to, but let's be honest. If they're making you $1 million, toss them a bone.
Yeah.
I bet you they'd be more happy to give you some more cool stuff. Think about it. There hasn't been a new created cool character in like 20, 30 years. Because why?
No.
Because you're not gonna get that money. They don't give them that money. Why would you not give them that money? How many cool characters came out of the 80s? Hello, Elektra? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Geez.
Yep.
Yeah, that is yeah, but even I think the problem, and here's my problem with the image. I love the image and concept, but when they got the 7 hot guys and initially did it, you knew those guys weren't ready to do. They weren't ready for prime time because they didn't have a writer. Those guys weren't focused to do a long term, and they didn't have the editorial staff to force them to do work. Rob Liefeld, come on, that guy was not gonna be doing 12 issues a year. We should have known that, and we didn't take it serious. And of course, he was going to do a splash page. Yeah, of course, splash pages are awesome. They don't help with the story. You got to tell a story.
Yep.
Got to tell a story. I think, the best company I think that did it right initially. I'll say they initially did it right, and then some things happened. But there's 2 of them. One of them, Valiant. The first go around with Valiant when Shooter was there, I think was brilliant, because I think Shooter understood how to make a great world, how to make it interconnected, how to make new characters, how to get people interested, how to tell stories that are super connected and feel when characters get killed. I think that was his strong point. I think that was the strongest point he did. The second one, CrossGen. Tell different types of superhero stories. They don't always have to be capes and stuff like that. Tell fantasy stories. Tell science fiction. Tell crime. Tell different genres within superheroes. Because I don't think super is actually even a genre in itself, to tell you the truth. I think it's just a rule set. You must have capes. You give people powers. Well, everybody's got powers. Magic powers are powers. Okay, so you must have capes. You're going to be heroic. Well, that's a couple little minor things. Everything else falls into the regular tropes. Science fiction superheroes is still science fiction.
Yep.
Fantasy superheroes is still fantasy. So just stick to this stuff, stick to the basic superhero tropes, and you can go forever with that. But for some reason, they just do superheroes. We just do superheroes. Just do superheroes. Got to be all capes. You can tell crime stuff. I remember when Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man was the crime version of Spider-Man. Amazing was for people who wanted to see the superhero stuff, but the gritty crime stuff, that was always in Spectacular. And that was the purpose of it. And I thought, that's like Batman and Detective. Detective is the gritty stuff. Batman is the generic stuff. But now that they think they're all the same, it doesn't matter. Spectacular, Amazing, it's all the same. Just put them all in the same book. No, dummy. They're separated for a reason, but you want different readers on there. And they still figure that out today. It's like 21st century, these guys are still doing stuff they should have done decades ago.
Yeah. The roadmap was there for them, and now it's like they're just going around in circles or something.
Which is weird, because it's like, you think about Marvel and DC. It's like you own 80% of the market, and all the independent guys are just, they're just doing what they can. And manga is like, we're going to eat everybody's lunch. We're going to eat everybody's lunch. We're going to eat everybody's lunch. And they've been doing that because they care about telling good stories. Yeah. And regular long stories, short stories. Maybe this thing only lasts 50 issues. Maybe it only lasts 6. There's nothing wrong with that either. Let's have an ending to some books. Books don't need to go on forever. I get it. You want the regular revenue. I get it. But it doesn't have to do it. So here's my secret comic book plan. Here it is, everybody. Book number 1. We do this big book. It's going to be 80 to 100 pages. It's going to have 4 different comic book stories in it. It's going to run for a year. And every month, you get a big one, and each story tells a story. And it's in a very specific genre, the 4 that I talked about. At the end of the year, we can collect those stories in a trade. So we have money coming in for trades. Yay! The weakest story doesn't get its own book. The other 3 get their own book. And then next year, you do another book, same thing with new characters on the 4 genres, and you got your regular 3. And you keep doing that same thing. Take the top 3, get rid of the bottom one, and you keep doing that for like 5 years. At the end of it, you'll have, realistically, 16 books, 16 monthly books. And there'll be 4 of each genre. There'll be 4 fantasy books, but it'll be like it'll be a fantasy group of a group of people. Maybe a main superhero, maybe a main heroine, maybe a teen one. Same thing with urban. Group of people. Male hero, female hero, teen hero. And you just do that. You got 16 books. You got them right there. Da-da-da-da. And then you keep doing your regular big book every year. So you can put new characters. And also it makes it a place where you can try out new artists to see where they can. We got them in our tryout book and all this stuff is new. So they can try out. They can see what a monthly book is like. And maybe tell shorter stories, whatever. And that stuff you collect as trade paperbacks and then put them on the rack and sell them. And then maybe if the top 4 books or the bottom 4 books aren't doing, you get rid of them. You get 4 new books. And you just keep rotating. And maybe an old book that might have fallen out of favor, you bring it back to see if it's any good. Or it does well, you keep it on. It doesn't, you take it off. And just keep doing that and telling stories.
I like it.
Look, it ain't difficult. But for some reason, these guys are not doing this. And I can't figure out why. And it's like, maybe that's the problem. I'm giving them way too much credit.
Yeah. Well, that tends to be what happens, that you'll give somebody too much credit for something and be like, well, they should be doing this, and they're too damn stupid to figure it out.
I just think, I think Marvel and DC have been, in the words of Biggie Smalls, they've been getting high on their own supply.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for so long, they've forgotten that you guys aren't as good as you think you are. And I'm hoping someone out there, the Massiveverse, prime example. The Massiveverse is a great idea. I think Kyle Higgins has got a great idea. I think he's done it the right way. I think he will have a successful product. I just think he needs to have more people working together, because he shouldn't have to do that all himself. But I think once he gets a great editorial staff around him and great business people, that could be easily the next big superhero world.
That would be cool.
I would love it. I would love it. I mean, I said, I don't think Image can do that, but I don't think that the Image does. Image is about independent guys doing independent books. You need somebody to go beyond that aspect to, I'm going to build a new comic book company for the 21st century. I'm going to find a way to get new fans. Let's be honest. Guys like me should not be your fan base. You're trying to get those new kids out here reading books, and finding a way to get them in here, and not charging. And I'm sorry, this is oh God, here's my soapbox. Stop charging $5 for a comic book.
I don't $2, man.
I'm a single father, so maybe I get this maybe I understand it's better. Single mothers are not going to spend $15 to get 3 comic books. Not going to happen.
No.
Not going to happen. Just not going to happen. If you can find a way. And don't tell me you can't use newsprint, but kids won't buy it. That's total garbage. Kids will buy and read any manga's on black and white. Don't tell me kids won't buy it. Do not tell me that. If they're buying black and white books, they'll buy some cool cheap stuff. Yeah. Oh, good. Floppy books, $2. Boom. Figure out a way to do it. Don't tell me you can't do it. Oh, we can't do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can do it. DC did a small attempt. What I always said was a smart idea, great execution. It wasn't gonna be successful long term because they're stupid. They did a thing called Wednesday Comics, where they did newsprint books, and this is like, God, early 2000s. I still have a bunch of mine. They're like newsprint versions of comics. They're coming out every week, and they're like one big page, maybe 4 or 5 panels. Each page was a different comic: Batman, Hawkman, Metal Man, and it was like just simply done like that. And they collected the books all together as hardcovers later on, which I'm like, you need something like that. And there was only like, it was $350 a thing, and you got like 16 or 24 pages, and like 16 different stories. And I was like, why are they not doing this permanently? This is something that should be in every comic book store. It's kind of like a throwback feel of when Amazing Spider-Man used to be in newspapers. That kind of feel.
Yeah.
And that should be something they should do every week as the entry level, the free starter drug pack. Any kid has a buck should be able to buy one of these things. People will be like, "Oh, this is totally cool!" Boom. And it's advertisement just to get people interested and get them in the store. Little kids don't have a ton of money, but for $1 or $2, they'll spend it. You buy it, you give it to them, and you keep going. You keep going.
See, it's funny that you said manga because my 14-year-old is a testament to the fact that kids will read good stories. You should see her collection of My Hero Academia.
There you go.
You know, she's got shelves like this wide, just filled with the books and the figures. But they're like, I sat there, I'm like, man, what is this My Hero Academia? And I'm like, what do you think so cool about it? And I sat down and I watched the cartoon with her one day, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is good stuff.
Because once again, they haven't forgotten what's the most important thing: story.
Yeah.
Focus on the story. If the story is good, the rest will be good. We become, and I say it like this: we become mired on political views on both sides. Don't think I mean just Comics Gate. I mean the woke people. I mean everybody is focused on the wrong thing. I gotta identify with these characters, dude. You identify with these characters are good characters, right? Good characters, right? Good characters, right? Good character. Yep. Look, I identify with Captain America because I like Cap. Cap is a great character. When they did in the movies, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think Cap would translate well to movies. I was terrified. The first Cap movie came out, okay, good. Oh, the second one's gonna be Winter Soldier. Oh, this will be good. I wonder if people will like it. Winter Soldier is still one of the best movies they've done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this is what a good story looks like. This is when you take a character. Let's be honest. Cap on paper. It sounds like a pretty boring character.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
but
like
he's not.
He's a friendly guy. He's polite. It's like, this guy's not a tough guy. And then you see him, you're like, oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. And once again, one of the greatest moments. I'll say one of the greatest moments in movie history. Even though if you're a fan, you knew it was going to happen. When Cap gets Thor's hammer.
Oh,
I mean, everybody freaked out in that scene.
Yeah.
Now, look, I read that back in the 90s. So it's like, oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, Cap could live with his hammer. That's not a big, when I saw the in Age of Ultron, I'm like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like the family, most people were like, oh, he can't lift it. And it's like, dude, yeah, Cap can lift that hammer. That's, and that's a perfect
time. Go read the comics, buddy. You'll figure out he can wield the hammer.
And then you see it on the screen. It was perfect. And how many screams did you hear when that happened?
Oh, you couldn't even hear the movie.
Right.
It's like I was just, I went nuts, even though you knew it was coming. It's like,
right.
The writing was beyond on the wall. It was a neon sign just going,
and it's like, is it smart for them to do it? Yes. Is it pandering to fans? Yes.
Yes.
What's wrong with pandering to fans? They got it popular. Why would I not pander to them? They liked it for a reason. It must be good. Why would I not want to pander to them? So yeah, I just go back and think it's like, that's what you're supposed to do, is make the fan base look at the stuff and go, wow, this was in the comic book. And you go, yes, this is awesome. That's why you got to read this. Because it's like, The Watchmen always gets rave reviews. I'm very anti-Watchmen. Not
I never got everybody's big infatuation. I mean, I do get it, but I don't. Get it, yeah. I don't have the appreciation, I guess you say, that other people do for it.
And my reason is very simple. I tell people the reason I don't appreciate it the same way is a year earlier, Squadron Supreme did the same thing with Mark Grunwald, and I like that better because yeah, they were definitely fill-ins for Superman and Batman, but at the end of it, a lot of people got killed. A lot of people with superpowers got killed. And it's one of those things. It's like they tell you why superheroes, why taking over the world and having won't work, and it made sense. And the 12 issues were great. And issue 2, they kill off Nuke, which is their version of Firestorm. And how they kill him off, it's like, holy cow. And it's like, oh my God, he gave his parents cancer by accident because of his spice. Like, oh my God. And it's like, I didn't expect it to happen. And I love it that the character they did was Dr. Spectrum, another amazing character, still another character with great design. Green Lantern would do something like that accidental Firestorm. I could see that happening. And I think how they played it out was perfect. And it's like if that was on DC and they did it, I think people would love that kind of stuff even more. I mean, Watchmen's great, yeah. And they use the Charlton characters, but I don't really care that much about the Charlton characters. I just think it's nice, but it's like, it's Captain Atom. Okay, Captain Atom's the only guy with real powers. Everybody else doesn't have powers. So it's like, I get it. And I understand what you're doing and why you did it. But yeah, no.
Have you read any of the new Brubaker comics that he's put out?
I'm a big fan of Brubaker. I mean,
yeah. Like he's got the one where the assassin that lives in the movie theater. I can't think of the name of that one off the top of my head.
He's got it's weird because it's like I would say the crime genre is one of those underdone comic book ones.
Yeah.
And they always, like, for me, 100 Bullets is still one of the best reads of crime. And I love that book. And they keep saying, we're gonna make it into a TV show. And I'm like, please do. Because if done well, 100 Bullets would be, I'm going to say some sacrilege when I say this. 100 Bullets could be as good, maybe even better than The Wire. And I love The Wire. I think there's no show better than The Wire. I think The Wire is having lived in Baltimore for my college years and having family still there. Yeah. I mean, if you watch The Wire, that's how it was in the 80s. That was really, really the 80s.
And I grew up in the country, so
yeah, I tell people, it's like, they're like, no, this couldn't be true. I'm like, no, that's how it was. That's how it was very much. I mean, I was, one of my scariest moments of my life, I almost got jumped by like 7, 8 guys getting gas. And I'm like 19 maybe at the time. And they could have stomped me out. They could have stomped me out, took all my money, put me. I would say I got amazingly lucky to walk away from that. Amazing.
Damn.
Lucky. Yeah, was Baltimore rough?
The worst I had to worry about as a little kid was like a woodchuck coming and eating something off my porch.
You never know. Those things are wild. They're wild animals. Don't let them fool you. They may look cute. They're not cute when they're attacking. Yeah, I mean, so there's so much. I mean, there's so much. Yeah, I mean, but when you do crime well, when you do crime well, you get The Wire, you get Homicide, you get Jesus Christ. Oh, those are the top two. It's really, once you get those two, it's really difficult because like I said,
Homicide is good.
Not a fan of The Sopranos. Breaking Bad, fan of that. Not my favorite, but I do love a lot of it. It's like, oh my God. I think people say it's better than The Wire. I'm like, stop your sacrilege. But it is still a good show. It's like, it's definitely good. You can't call it not good. It's like, come on.
And Giancarlo's character in that show is just chef's kiss, man.
That's the kind of evil you need. It's like, that's what none of this. Oh, no. Calm, collected, terrifying.
When chipmunks go wild.
Look, laugh all you want. When they're biting, it's hard to be cool. All right, I mean,
man,
everybody's friendly till they attack, like hippos. People are like,
dude, they're one of the deadliest animals on the planet.
Thank you. They kill more than alligators. I used to live in South Florida, so I used to see gators relatively a lot. I'm now in North Florida. Not so many gators, but I know better. Anytime you see water in Florida, assume a gator is there.
Yeah.
And I'm terrified of gators, but I can outrun a gator. I know what to do. Hippo, I don't know, man. They look adorable, but those fuckers are just
eat you in like 2 big bites.
Sorry, fuck you. Sorry. Oops, sorry.
Yeah. Yep. Oh. And it's funny because they're an underappreciated natural killer. Because it's funny because Hungry Hippos, I mean, it was a fun, innocent little game.
No. Those fuckers are dangerous. Dangerous.
They
Don't even think
are.
for a second.
So one thing you've actually done that was one of my favorite things with that I pulled out of the Patreon was the instant plot creation chart.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, you just take a D20, roll it 5 times, and boom, you got a game. If you're like me and can't think
Yeah.
of shit on the
Yeah.
spot.
It's
So
so simple and
if these
stupid.
guys in
Like,
the chat haven't checked it out, you got to jump over and sub to his Patreon and check out all the awesome stuff you get.
yeah, if you do get the $5 value, because that's where you get, I mean, you get a lot of
A
products.
lot.
A lot. You know,
If I didn't think it would mess with my computer, I would pull it up and give them a count of how many files I got from that. That I was just like,
I
I'm
know.
like,
So,
I got all this for. I felt guilty getting all that for $5.
yeah, it's like it really. I mean, it's like 20 different products. But anything I feel like I want to do, and I'm like, oh, I can't sell this. I don't think I should sell this. I just stick it on the Patreon. That's all I was thinking. I'll stick it on the Patreon. Just added the $5 one, and you realize it's like, oh, I've given a lot of stuff for $5. It's
Yeah.
Like, oh Jesus, and you know, I like 1 or 2 page things. I think I like cool little things like that. Like, oh, this is a cool little thing you didn't know about. Here you go. Here's a cool little thing you didn't know about. Here you go. I love that kind of stuff. I've always loved that kind of stuff. So it's like,
yeah, but you pack a lot of stuff into 2 pages, though. That's the thing, man. It's like,
hey, man, you know, it's look. I'm once again 2 things that don't sound like they belong together. Just jam them together. That's all that is. That's all it is.
Peanut butter and acid, and bam! And I mean the flesh-eating acid.
Yeah, well, that's right, man.
Or the other one, you never know.
Once again, let's try out both. What could happen? What's the worst that could happen?
Hallucinogenic peanut butter.
What's the worst that's gonna happen? This might be awesome, and it usually is. So yeah, so I mean, you know, it's like, you know, and our Patreon really was just created for me to just do the stuff for Amazing Universe from the get-go. And if you go to the first post, we talk about everything we were doing, and we just put stuff up and we gave you everything behind the scenes. Like Onyx, great example. Onyx initially was, see, hippos are dangerous. See,
yeah, 500 people a year. That's crazy.
Man, come on, hippos are dangerous. Don't fuck around with those guys. They're not cute. Fucking fool you. So, God. So
I'm gonna drop the link for your Patreon in.
So we first did, when we first did the Patreon at the beginning, the character that eventually became Onyx was another character I created called Knight from a Daredevil story I wanted to tell, and I had the greatest Daredevil story ever. It made sense. It was going to be awesome, and I just never got off my butt. Never. I always said if I worked for Marvel, I'd pitch it, but now it's like, oh, it wouldn't work. And there's a character that I think it was Ann Nocenti wrote when John Romita Jr. was doing the art. In there, this little black kid was suing a chemical corporation because they blinded him. And in the story, Matt Murdock's trying to teach his kid how to use his blindness like he did. Yeah. And I always thought that was the coolest thing. It's like, oh, that kid could become Daredevil in the future if Matt teaches him correctly, which is a possibility. But then I said, how can I twist it to make it more cooler? I'm like, oh, I know. Because the kid gets, like they left the storyline and they never talked anymore about this kid ever again. And I was always like, you know what would be cool? If the Hand was, of course, you know, tracking Daredevil, saw him doing with his kid, kidnaps this kid and turns him into their version of Daredevil.
Ooh,
and then have him come back to go after Matt Murdock. And Matt's like, who the fuck is this guy? What the fuck? And you find out it's the kid you forgot about.
Like he wraps him upside the head, tears the mask or something. He takes it off and he's like, oh shit.
Right. And it's like, and make it even better. It's like, make it, maybe just Matt just forgot because he forgot. People forget. People go out of your life. You're like, oh, I wonder what happened to so-and-so. Oh, well, that kind of thing. And maybe that happened with the kid. And I thought that would be that could be such a cool idea. So that was initially what Onyx was supposed to be. And then I kept going, no, I think Onyx is more like Spider-Man. But I keep saying, I'm going to go back and do that character. The character name was Knight. And I was like, we could do something really cool with this. Because ninjas are cool. Ninjas never go not cool. And I'm like, this guy could be a cool ninja. But I like, you've already done Blind Daredevil. I don't want to kind of do that. So I'm like, and then we made Onyx out of that. But I'm gonna go back one day and do that character. I think that
you got to wait like 10 years down the road, though. Now that you've said it out loud, and like
I know.
and you can be like, you can track it back to September 23rd of
It's like,
2024.
here's the moment right here, and but that's what happens, and that's really what goes on. I mean, we look at our Patreon, you can track everything we've done. I told everybody what I was gonna do. I told everybody. I'm horrible at keeping a secret. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. We're doing that. Like right now, we have. Oh, this sounds bad to even say it. We started working on our second adventure path called American Revolution. And we're introducing this superhero team called the United Sentinels of America, USA. And I can't talk more about it because the turn that happens in this is amazing. And no one's going to see it coming. And when it happens, everyone's going to be like, and I already know. We already know. But the problem is, we wrote the first two adventures. I got this Kickstarter going on. I got other stuff I need to be focused on. And I'm just like, oh my God, I got so much more stuff to do. This is ridiculous. And then we have another one after that called Brave New World Order, where we decided to take it on the road. We're going to go around the world and stuff. So we have an incident in the Amazing Universe. If you're a fan, there's an incident called the Redacted Incident. You'll see it everywhere. It's like, you'll see the words parentheses, redacted, everything. But we leave stuff out. It's redacted. We're not telling you what's going on. So the redacted incident happened, and I can't tell you exactly what happened because it's been redacted. But we are going to talk. We always mention. We always give you hints because of what happened during the redacted incident. Canada develops its own superhero team, and the superhero team is called the Dominion. And the Dominion is my version of Alpha Flight.
Oh, nice.
Because I liked Guardian, Weapon Alpha, Vindicator. I liked how his costume was. So we did our version of that. Looks very much like that costume. And I might even get a call from Marvel. I hope not. But maybe. But it's a cool looking design. I've always liked the design. He's wearing the flag. So we did our version of that. So with that, we also did and oh God, there's so much on this. So when we're developing it out, I'm not from Canada. I know about Canada, but I don't know about Canada. So I reached out to people saying, hey, can you help me? I want to talk to some Canadians about what about superheroes. So I talked to about 7 or 8 people about Canadian superheroes and what to expect and what to develop. And they really gave me some really wide opening ideas. And they also finally explained why the X-Men worked as a team. Because it's like the X-Men became super popular, but I never understood why. And it's not like Wolverine was a popular character, but all of them became very popular. And somebody said it the best when we're talking about it. The guy says, America has the mindset that one person can do it. One person can do it. He can be the hero and da-da-da-da. In Canada, we don't think like that. The group of us all excel. We all excel as a team. And I thought about that for the longest time, and I was like, oh, that's the X-Men. But you think about it, Chris Claremont, a Brit writing the X-Men, British sensibilities. John Byrne, Canadian, doing the art. And you've got this international team of group of people. And there wasn't, Wolverine was popular, but Wolverine didn't become the big guy till like 6-7 years into the run.
Right.
He was just one guy of the team. And everybody on the team was cool. Everybody had a favorite character. I like Colossus. I like Nightcrawler. Wolverine, whatever. But those are my 2 favorites. And they always were going back and forth and move, and they worked as a unit. And I think that's what made them awesome. And then they started piecing out people and doing stuff like that. When Gambit joined the team, I think that was always the beginning of the end of the X-Men. I think Rogue coming to the team was a right choice. I would say she made the team. She gave that other girl you needed for the team that made total sense.
Yep.
And her powers they had were awesome. And then when she used to grab people and steal their power, that made it even cooler. And they used to do that once. They used to do that a lot back in the day. They don't do it much anymore, which is silly because her powers are still your powers.
Everybody else's powers, right?
But for some reason, they don't do it. They've forgotten that was one of her powers. And it's like, dude, that's important. She can't touch people. And that whole aspect plays into just who she is. And that was a smart idea. Dazzler Dream Team was not one of my favorites, but at least Dazzler made sense why she was part of the team. Longshot joined the team. Wasn't my favorite character, but okay, I get why Longshot joined the team. So, it's like, that's a smart thing. I mean, they need to go back to that kind of mindset. And that's kind of how we did with Dominion, and that's how we built that. And then, of course, I said, well, if we're going to do this team, we've got to do a teenage team for them, which is the Union. And the Dominion is the JLA for Canada. The Union is the Teen Titans for Canada.
That's cool. And I like the names, too, of like Dominion and Union. It's like...
Because that's, Dominion, Canada, that's very Canadian.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. And Union, yeah, that's right. And so it just kind of fell into that. And it's like, and I always said, the cool costume discovery that we did was we made the traditional red and white costume for Canadians. But Quebec has a lot of influence on Canada as a whole, which I did not know. So we have, out of the 12 characters, 3 of them are from Quebec. And they have a blue and white version that has the fleur-de-lis on one side. It's blue and white. And it looks kind of like the Quebec flag. And it's like, they connected because they look similar, but it's still
a little different. Yeah.
And their Superman guy has both versions. He has the traditional Canadian version and the Quebec version. Because I think it's good to have both for him. Because he's their Superman. And Superman doesn't want to make anybody offended. So, of course, Superman would have both costumes. So, but, most of the people have only one. So, okay. It's funny you say Psylocke. I am a fan of Psylocke, but not the Psylocke you guys think. I'm a fan of Psylocke when she was Betsy Braddock and Captain Britain. And for all you people that love Psylocke as the ninja, yeah, let me help you all out real quick. Betsy Braddock in Captain Britain has a fight with an individual whose name is Slaymaster. Now, if you don't know who this character is, you're like, well, what happened? I don't get it. He did one of the most evil things to her that they carried over to X-Men for a little bit, and then they changed up. She's fighting Slaymaster as the new Captain Britain. Yeah, this is a long, long time ago. Slaymaster, and she's still got her sonic abilities, and she's powered up, and she's beating him pretty bad. In the middle of the fight, done by art by Alan Davis, which makes it amazing, Slaymaster basically has enough. And he basically rips out her eyeballs with one blow. Like, whoa! You're like, oh! She puts out a sonic scream to her brother, Captain Britain, the real one. He flies there. He's not wearing his costume, so his powers aren't full power. And Slaymaster's got his own little costume like that. So he's like, you can't match me in power. And he sees Betsy on the ground, blind. Both eyeballs ripped out. She's blind. Dun, dun, dun. He then crushes Slaymaster's head with a large boulder. It was amazing. That's the version of Psylocke I like. And then they gave her fake eyes from Mojo. Then Jim Lee did the Asian revamp. Now, don't get me wrong. Like that version, that's always cool. But I always liked that she didn't have eyes. She had robotic eyes they put in her. And she was blind. She was blind for a long time before she got the robotic eyes put in her. And people seem to forget about that. It's like, oh, yeah, Betsy is blind. She's actually blind. Yeah, it's like, oh, blind, thing. Don't worry about it. Betsy had no eyes. And then they gave her a new body, and now Betsy has eyes. No one talks about it, but her eyes used to be camera for Mojo. That was the purpose of her having eyes. But once again, when you don't read the stuff, you don't pay attention, you don't make the connections, you forget about stuff like that. And stuff just falls out.
Like me.
That's all right. That's all right. You're a fan. Fans are allowed to. The people creating it should not forget that.
No, I would agree with that for sure. And then
it's
we've
like
got a British force would be interesting.
we have a British force. Uh, back to the Brave New World Order, we introduced a group called the Monarchy, aka the Knights of Pendragon, but I can't call them that. The Guardians of Pendragon, the Monarchy is what we're calling them. Yes, and that name's already taken too, but I don't care. So we have a very British done group with very British done costumes that I'm very proud of. For some weird reason, the graphic designer in me, I love doing costumes. So we've done like a costume. The best way to describe it, if you think of the character Union Jack from Marvel, but I think it's Jack Staff is the other character. We do like half a Union Jack.
Nice.
So most characters have that costume, but then they have this red costume with the gold lion. And we did one in blue, one in red, and one in yellow. And we made the lion all different colors. So we have one like that. And then on the left arm, we have the Union Jack. So yeah, that's what we're working on. Jesus. We made the team already. They're done. They're done.
Psylocke with a glowing butterfly mask.
Yes, that was during that. When she started doing the butterfly mask, that's after she lost her eyesight. But if you get a chance, check out that Captain Britain run. It's Alan Moore writing, Alan Davis art. It is amazing and it's crazy. It's a crazy run. A lot of crazy stuff going on there. If you can find a trade, it's worth it. I love. There's a monster, one of my favorite monsters of all time, the Fury, which they don't use anymore in Marvel, but still, oh my god. The Fury is this robotic monster that killed an entire planet and winds up killing Captain Britain at the end of his series. But like he gets saved at the end through him. That's a but it's great villain. Oh my god, one of my favorite villains. And they've used him once in X-Men, and they never used him again, which I was always kind of pissed. I was like, such a good villain. Why don't they ever use him again? But you can only use him when Alan Davis is doing the art. That's my requirement. You can't have anybody just use him. It's just Alan does it in the best, perfect way. Terrifying. Completely terrifying monster that fans of comics would enjoy.
So which has been your favorite, well, I guess you'd say your favorite superhero and favorite villain team to design?
For the Amazing Universe?
Yeah, for the Amazing Universe.
They're all my children and I love them equally. Kinda. I like Strike Force 3 because of what happens to them. They have the best story. Okay. Because nobody in that team, because of the redacted incident, nobody comes out of that team unscathed. And one of my favorite characters, Randall Seaton, aka Ares, female character. She, due to everything that happened, she got the brunt of everything bad that happened, and she was the number 2 person at Strike Force 3. She wound up serving jail time. Everyone basically hates her. She's looked down on all the other teams as like a traitor. When you find out what happened with her, she made a lot of sacrifices for a lot of other people. And people just shit on her, just totally shit on her for all the right and wrong reasons. So, I mean, I always like Strike Force 3. And I guess, you can read and welcome, you can read and welcome to the Amazing Universe. Out of the 9 members of Strike Force, 4 of them wind up as members of the Syndicate. That's right. The large supervillain teams have 4 heroes who convert for the reason. Gunther Haas was the main leader. He's all a bad guy. 3 of the team members formed their own law firm. They got really cool powers. And 2 of the characters are still redacted to this day, and we can't talk about them.
I love that. I love this the redacted incident and how it just like is
there's
the
so
black
much
line through the what's going on.
Redacted. Can't talk about it. and we bring it up a lot. I mean, you'll see a lot of stuff gets redacted, but a lot of stuff gets revealed, but a lot of stuff gets redacted.
That
And
is so
okay,
cool.
then my favorite, actually that's my favorite superhero team villain, but my favorite team are the demigods. The demigods are my invaders team that I really created as the invaders update from Marvel that I brought over to Amazing Universe and changed them out to become the demigods. And yeah, yeah, they're probably my favorite team. They're two brothers. Another weird thing, they're two brothers. They're both twins. Also, I have a thing with twins. I have twins running my family, so I have a thing with twins. Um, Twin brothers. One is called Mercury and one is called Freedom. At the beginning, Mercury was the first Freedom, but he winds up during his first outing getting his back broken.
Damn.
This guy was a sports enthusiast. He was the big jock brother and the smart brother. The other brother was just the smart brother. Now the smart brother has to take over the role as the superhero, while Mercury takes over the role as like basically Batman from Bruce Wayne from Batman Beyond, being in the headquarters, instructing everybody and doing all that. We have a character named Samson, who she is named Samson because I love Samson. It's one of my favorite biblical heroes, and there's a connection there. We can't talk about that. Sting, who is our version of Henry Pym, a young Henry Pym who's actually a good character. There's Ramses, who is an Egyptian character that was inspired by is it Iron Maiden? Who's inspired by the Evil Eddie cover that says Power Slave on it. And that inspired making that character Ramses and the villain Power
So
Slave.
cool.
Yeah, that was good. We have a character named Strike, who is an electrical character that originally was called Strike Force from when I first did stuff way back when. Then we shortened just called Strike because we already have Strike Force. So he's on the team. God. Who am I missing? Strike Force, Ramsey, Strike, the two brothers. Oh, Danger. So we have a character named Danger. And Danger. So I wanted to use the character Mimic from the X-Men. If you remember, Mimic's one of my favorite characters that never gets used. He's one of my favorite non-mutant mutants. And I've always loved that character. I loved him when he was in the Exiles. I thought it was a cool idea. And I always keep saying, why don't they use this character? They never use this character. They never know what to do with this character. Same thing with Madison Jeffries, another X-Men character they don't know what to do with. And I'm just like, the guy manipulates metal. You try and tell me you can't do cool things with him, and they never seem to, but whatever. So Danger was a character that we wanted to make like Mimic, and I couldn't do it right. So then I said, let me figure out a different way to do her powers. So I'm like, I'm going to have her mimic the powers of her teammates, but in different ways. So for example, Blaze is on the team. Blaze is a fire generator and a density manipulator. She copies his abilities, but she doesn't get fire generation. She has heat vision.
Ooh.
She copies another Samson's character. Samson is super strong, super tough woman. Well, she copies Samson's powers, but she doesn't get super strength per se. She gets a really tiny force field around her body that protects her and makes her super strong.
Interesting.
Strike is an electrical character, has all these electrical powers, lightning bolts, the whole thing. She gets electrical powers, but she gets them to like modify her body to be super fast and super reaction, and has a little taser punch. So it's the power, but used in a totally different way than you expect. So all the people around her, she has their powers. So out of the members, I think she has 4 or 5 of their members' powers, but she also gets new powers as people come and go. But she has her teammates' powers like kind of like automatically on deck because she's been with them so long. They just power a new power set. And she gets a new power if she comes and sees somebody, oh, new power. But she doesn't get to keep those as long as she has her original powers, as her friends' powers. But she's been around them a long time. And they just imprinted on her now.
That is cool.
And it's just one of those things. It's like, and the reason I call them the demigods is because I wanted to call them invaders. It doesn't make any sense to call them invaders in the book. It doesn't have the same connection. And I kept saying, oh, I need a new name for them. And I kept going through names and names. And I go, I'll call them a new breed. I'm like, no, I can't call them a new breed. We have a villain group called the New Breed. And I just kept going around and around and around. And I'm listening to music. I'm listening to rap music. And then one of my favorite like indie rap groups comes up. It's Mike Shinoda from Fort Minor. No, not even Fort Minor. From, God damn, I see the name. Not Fort Minor. Before Fort Minor, he played with Jesus Christ. They made Hybrid Theory, Reanimation. Wow. Chester Benningfield was the singer. I can't remember the name.
Linkin Park.
Thank you. Wow, that was crazy. He did a side project called Fort Minor. He did a side project with them, with the group Fort Minor. And out of the group, he has a group called Talk, was another rapper. And what was the other guy's name? Can't remember his name now. And a group in a little minor group was a group called the Demigods. But they spelled it with a Z. And I was like, I guess if you had superpowers and you were teens in like their 20s, they would think of themselves like demigods. So I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. The demigods. And that's what we called them. And that's what I've been sticking to. And I can refuse to change it now. So it's like, they're my team. They're the new warriors. They're the new warriors of our thing. Young Avengers, new warriors. So that's how we presented them as that. And, that's probably my favorite superhero team because, they evolved out of something totally different to what they are.
Very cool.
And yeah. Do I take characters? I try not to. Because they're so, because this is way too close to me. This is way too close. So I tell people, if you're going to give me a suggestion, don't make it connected to anything else. Make it something totally separate. If we can say, okay, how can we bring this in? How can we connect this in? But you'd be surprised that we've covered a lot of the bases of things you'd think of. The stuff now, I tell people, don't think of anything traditional. We've done every superhero team you can probably think of, except for like the Metal Men. I haven't done a good robot one. Marvel did Heavy Metal, and I like that name, but I wouldn't call them that. But I do like that name, Heavy Metal. But and it's gotta fit in the world because if you read the Welcome to, we've got a really dense world, and we have our version of the Daily Planet, aka the Daily Bugle, which is the American Standard, and one of the persons that own the American Standard is with our big villain group called Mannheim Industries. And Mannheim Industries is run by Hannibal Caine. And I can't I'd love to tell you the secret of Hannibal Caine and what's going on there. But I will say this. I have a great love of history, and connecting actual history to cool comic book and gaming stuff is one of my favorite things. A great example, I can tell you this one because we've used them. In Neo Exodus, we have a character called the Lawgiver. And the Lawgiver is a character who is bringing these cool Lazarus brands, is what we call them. There are these cool sigils that give people powers. They give them like epic level power for D&D. Well, the Lawgiver, if you know your biblical history, the Lawgiver is actually Moses. Moses brings the 10 Commandments down from Mount Sinai, brings the laws down, giver of the laws, lawgiver.
Yeah.
So I always find like weird stuff, like cool history, biblical references, like that. So I'll just say the man.
Oh man, were you saying Hannibal Caine now? My brain is
right.
going.
Let me put it this way. His name is exactly what you think it is, but it's not what you think it is.
Huh.
So there's 4 members of the board right now that we released. There's Hannibal. There's Dr. Almost slipped his real name out. Dr. Genoa. Maximus Genoa. There's another person who is a Russian oligarch and a Chinese non-binary entertainment specialist. If you look, like I said, I give you hints through everything. There's tons of hints. And if you figure out what one thing is, you'll figure out the other stuff, how they're connected. You may not get it all, but Hannibal Caine, yeah. What you're thinking
Yeah.
is right, but what you're thinking isn't right.
Huh. Interesting.
And then to make it even weirder, we have another character named Ulysses Cain.
Huh.
But Hannibal Caine is spelled Cain. Ulysses, if I'm still right, Ulysses is spelled Kaine.
Hmm.
We mentioned them. We mentioned them in the book. We mentioned them.
And I'm going to have to pick
both
your
last
brain
name.
after we go off the air because I've got an idea already that I'm just like,
And I'm telling you, you're probably right, but you're probably wrong.
Oh boy. I don't want to throw it at you now and potentially maybe get it right.
You go ahead. You can toss it. You can toss it out. I'll.
Well, I'm wondering if the CAIN is the elder brother of the KAINE. And
Nope.
No, okay. I was thinking maybe there was something to do with like him doing away with the other Cain, and
I'll put it this way. That's not correct, but you're closer than you think you are.
Damn. Now I'm not going to sleep tonight because of you, Lewis. I'm going to be sitting here thinking of this with like red string going everywhere, like trying to link this all together.
Well, yeah, and when you find out,
don't say it.
Find out, no, it's one of those. I can't tell because it's one of those. It's
redacted.
It's not even redacted. We don't even talk about this yet. It's one of those things. It's in my back of the head. It's all been developed. I know what's going on, and it makes total sense. And when people see it, it's going to be those moments of, oh my god!
I can't wait.
The small reveal. It's. Let's just say. I'm a fan of history.
Okay.
Fan of history. A lot of great stuff happened in history. A lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe what you can find. Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna be racking my brain all night now thinking about this.
I tell you, it's easy. It's an
I'm
easy
wrong,
answer.
but I'm closer than I think I am.
You're wrong, but closer than you think you are. And it's not what you think it is, but it's exactly what you think it is.
Damn. All right.
That's another little trick. He is, but not for the way you think he is. Because that's actually, yes. So that's actually information that's in our Patreon. But the whole it's hard to say what I need to say, but I can't say
without saying too much.
Let's just say this, and this is something that's already known. I'm big on connections in the game. So, for example, we have a character by the name of Maxwell Cross. Maxwell is a profiler for the Amazing Universe. He's a superhero profiler. He specializes in finding superhero weaknesses, and that's all he does. And he works for Eagle, which is our espionage and government law enforcement division, aka SHIELD. So what makes Maxwell so interesting is who Maxwell's father is. Maxwell's father is a character by the name of Victory. Victory is the first superhero for the Amazing Universe.
That was, if I remember in reading, Adam Cross?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's his father.
Okay.
Victory divorced Maxwell's mother and remarried another woman. His daughter, codename is Sigma. She's on Strike Force 1. Sigma is like a shield, super durable, super tough, super strong. Now, Maxwell doesn't have any powers. Maxwell has a horrible relationship with his father. His quote that we always put, that Maxwell says, if I've got being a superhero in my blood, I'll get a transfusion.
Damn.
Yeah, does not like his father, but his father left his mother for somebody else. Destroyed his happy home. So, and remember, everybody in the world loves his father as being the first premier superhero. He's a great guy, and his daughter's a superhero, and oh my God. But the first son, no. So you got that kind of relationship going on. And then our other one of that is Timon Sanhir Morgan. He's our Johnny Quest of the setting. His father is Wayne Morgan. Wayne Morgan used to be a direct member of Twilight Inc., but has gone off to make his own company called the Cybermancy, where they deal with cybernetic, let's not use the word cybernetic. That's not correct. How technology and magic can work together.
Okay.
So you think he's kind of like the version of Doctor Strange for the setting, but he's not Doctor Strange. And he is an apprentice by the name of Sean Evans. Sean Evans is his son, probably like 1920-ish. His son Wayne's son Timon is about 14. Timon hates Sean because his father has this great connection with Sean. His father doesn't have a great connection with him. Timon hates Sean because of that. Sean is like, dude, I don't hate you. I'm just trying to do my own thing. Sean's got his own life and stuff like that. Sean's sister, Angela Evans, was on Strike Force 3.
Ooh.
Directly involved with the redacted incident. Now she's a lawyer with a law firm with two of the former members of Strike Force 3. Wayne Morgan is also a multi-billionaire. He's, very creative, very big money maker. Wayne is also a member on the board for the Amazing Standard. His wife is also a member on that board. Sorry, his ex-wife. His ex-wife is also a member on that board. She does not like him very much. He doesn't not like her, but he's like, look, it's over. I took a different path. She's not happy with him because of his relationship with his son. So you've got that situation going on. He's also dating a member, the member of Psy from Strike Force 1.
I love the depth of all your characters, man.
And it gets even worse. It gets this is
just scratching the surface.
It gets even more when you get even more into like who's connected to who's related to who's Jet Black. Jet Black is one of my favorite characters. So I'm gonna say this and it's gonna come out wrong, but so please. So straight, gay, I don't care. Trans characters, I don't think I would do them justice. So I'm like, I'm not going to get character who's trans because I don't think I would do it justice, and I don't understand it well enough to do. I said I don't want to make a character of a character, but what I did do, which people have told me, no, this character's trans. I'm like, no, that character's not trans. This character's trans, and I never really thought about it. So we have a character named Jet Black. Jet Black is my Captain Marvel homage. Captain Marvel as in Billy Batson, not Monica or that other girl. We don't mention her. Because it's very much like the character Jet Black appears to be a white male. but the character is actually a black female. She's covered in a nanite suit that looks like a human being. And it's part of her origin and goes through the whole thing. So when people interact with her, they interact with her as a white male, not a black female. And she's hid her identity like, oh no, I am a white male. But the guy who actually invented it or knows it's his son who is original Jet Black, but he died during the thing. So she's kind of wearing him as a costume. So everybody thinks that she's really a he, but she's not. And there's a character, a villain, mercenary called Platinum Blonde, who is very much attracted to Jet Black. But Jet isn't gay. She's straight, meaning she likes men. But people see Jet Black as a male. So we haven't written, this is more the comic side too. Like, she'll have interactions with people and be like, oh, you're gay. No, I'm not gay. It's like, she's trying to explain it, but not tell people who she really is underneath. So you got that kind of situation going on. So that plays into how do people perceive the character.
Interesting.
And no one ever suspects who she is. Oh, they don't expect Jet Black to be a black woman. Why would they be black? It's a guy. You can see his face. You can see, it's a guy. It's a guy. Oh, it's a white guy, not a black woman. So there's that whole aspect of that going on with the character and that whole thing. And I said, that's probably the closest I've done to, a trans character, but it's like, how do people treat you when they don't realize who you are?
Right.
And Onyx, we don't know. Onyx's real name is Shamar Betancourt. He's half black, half Japanese. You don't see that a lot.
No.
And I'm like, okay, so we did a character that's designed. His character, the way he looks, very, very Japanese inspired, very, very hip hop inspired. So it makes a lot of sense when you see the character. Like, okay, that makes. But you don't realize that's the same guy. And it's like there's a lot of that going on in the actual characters. We try to make characters look like one way, but they're not what you think they are. Like Rebel. She's a Chinese girl who is this tough, strong, rough and tumble. You don't usually see that very often. But usually Asians have to play the kung fu route, have to be the martial arts. I don't want to do that with her. I'm like, no, let's make her like Luke Cage. Biker, tattooed up. You don't usually see that. Samson on the Demigods, redhead with a mohawk. Also another bulky, strong one. You don't see that very often. One of the members of the Mosaic Trust, voluptuous. When I wrote the character, make sure she looks voluptuous. Very thick, voluptuous girl as a supervillain. You don't see that very often. So I wanted to pick, characters you don't always see, or characters you're not always used to.
Subverting expectations. I love it.
I mean, I don't even call it that. It's just like, and I said, I stole this from Chuck Dixon. Chuck Dixon said, if you want to make really good characters, create your character out. Do everything for your character. And then at the end, assign the physical characteristics at random. Because you can have two characters that love each other, but all of a sudden, it's not a man and a woman, they're two women.
Gotcha.
Oh, they're not both white. One's Asian and one's German. One looks this way, and you do that stuff at the end, it changes the whole dynamic. Because people, Scott and Jean are great characters, but they're the same white oatmeal character that I see all the time.
Yep.
Now, Storm and Wolverine, they're friends, but they've got some romantic attraction to each other. Do they look like they would be romantic? Of course not. There's nothing about them that says romantic, and that's what makes it cool.
Yep.
Storm and Black Panther. Well, I expect that. That's not as Batman and Catwoman. Kind of get that. Okay, yeah. Okay. But Roy with Cheshire, Red Arrow Arsenal with Cheshire, well, she's a criminal and she's a killer. And he's not, but they make them work. And it's like, you got to just always jam the two things that don't seem like they fit together and make them fit.
Yeah.
That's the crazy.
Well, it sounds
That's
like
the
you've
crazy.
done a fabulous job of doing just that throughout this entire world.
Yeah, there's a lot. And there's so much more to go. Oh, much more. And I'm still, God, I mean, there's so much. Yeah. it's it's just so, because it's like also, and like right now we're redoing all the new artwork for Strike Force Zero. Strike Force One, sorry. And I kept saying, oh, we want to do new artwork, but the original artwork was 4 years old. It was more Batman animated series look, and I want to do more traditional comic book look. So our artist is working on doing that right now. So we just revamped Beta. I just got Gamma today, which is, I mean, amazing. He's working on Epsilon right now, and Delta I know is one we've got to redo again, but I didn't get the image I wanted. I went with an idea, and I'm like, and I saw the idea, I'm like, this is crap. Get rid of this. This is not what I want to do. So, this, and it's the fun part of the job, but it's also the hard part of the job. But it's like,
Yeah.
when you're making new characters and how do they fit in? How do they connect? And then, we'll leave stuff open. On every character has something open. They'll just connect by accident. Like, Jet Black's mom is the assistant warden at the Black Box prison. And how that came about, I just said, hey, who can I connect? Oh, these two are great. Let's connect them. Boom, connected. Done. And just leave stuff open. Always leave stuff open. Who's their brother? Who's their sister? I have two cousins as supervillains, Biohazard and Atomic. They have similar looking costumes, and they just happen to be cousins.
Very cool.
You know,
I cannot wait for this because if I recall, I read even on the Kickstarter, you said it's happening no matter what.
oh yeah, it's happening no matter what, and that's the weird part. So today is a prime example. So I got some good news, and I can't talk about it here because it's super private. But it's one of those things. It's like great news. So if the Kickstarter doesn't do as well as I'd like it to, I'm still going to be able to do the one thing I really wanted to do, and that's to do the comic.
Nice.
It's like it's one of those things. It's like this. Jay has already done the outline for the first 8-page comic. We already know what we're going to do. We already know. And initially, and I'll tell people this, people don't know this. Initially, we tried to get, and I can't say initially, there's a lot of people I tried to get. My whole list of people I tried to get to do this thing is crazy. But there's one person in particular I really wanted to get. And so I reached out to Paul Smith. Now, if you're thinking Paul Smith artist, hey, isn't that the artist who did the X-Men during that small little run in the 80s where Storm gets the Mohawk? Yes.
Yep.
Paul Smith. So I'm like, dude, what are the odds I'm trying? I mean, I want to get an artist. What are the odds of me getting Paul Smith to do? I'm like, there's no way Paul Smith would ever be. So I have this on my windowsill.
I like it.
And it keeps me motivated. If ever I'm like, I'll never do that. And I just look and go, oh, I can and I will. Okay. So I reached out and found him, and I reached out to Paul Smith. And Paul Smith's like, I don't know. I'm interested, but I don't know if I want to do it. I mean, it's got to be something I really want to do. And I'm like, okay. How about, all right. So then I go back to Jay Faber, who's doing the writing. And I'm like, hey, can we do like an outline for Paul Smith to see if we can get him to do it? He's like, yeah, no problem. I'm like, all right, great. So he does the outline. We give it to Paul Smith. And I'm like, maybe we can make it. Maybe Paul will love this. He'll want to do it. Oh my God, what if Paul Smith does it? And I'm going through all of my head through all this craziness. And Paul Smith says, yeah, I'm going to pass. I'm like, okay, no problem. Now, here's some other people that also passed on this. I reached out to, actually, let me get the full list out because I don't want to miss anybody. And I think it's funny that people will see this list and be like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, yes, I'm telling the truth. Boom. There it is. Here's Here's the people who turned me down. Alan Davis. Yes, that Alan Davis I was just talking about. Bob Layton. Yes, Bob Layton, the Iron Man, Clayton Henry, John Byrne,
Damn.
Koi Pham, Mumard Asser, Mark Brooks, Paul Pelletier, Paul Smith, Roman Perez, Ron Lim, Sean Chen, Travis Charas, and my favorite turn down, my favorite one, Walter Simonson. Yeah, that Walter Simonson. And he was the nicest, most polite, no. And I was like, wow, that was amazing. And yes, I reached out to all of these people, found their personal emails, sent them to, and they all were very politely saying, no, can't. And those are the no's. Those are the no's. Here's the people I wrote who didn't respond back. Arthur Adams, Brandon Peterson, Chris Sammy, Clayton Mann, Dan Jurgens, Greg Capullo, Ivan Reese, J. Scott Campbell, Jimmy Chung, John Romita Jr., Mark Bagley, Michael Keown, Olivier Capiel, Pepe Larraz. Yes, I went with Pepe Larraz because I love him. R.B. Silva, Ryan Otley of Invincible fame, Stephen Platt, Tom Grumbled, Valero Shitty. I think it's Shitty, but I'm pronouncing it Shitty. Weiss Mataccio and Yignar Sick. I can't pronounce his name. He did work on Legion of Superheroes. Why? I can never pronounce his name. Sidnar is his last name. I ran into him much earlier in his career, and I didn't use him. That's the biggest regret. It's crazy. So yeah, those were the artists that said no or I didn't get in touch with. And only two writers I reached out to, Jay Faber and Jim Zup. Now Jim Zup said no to me, but I've known Jim for probably 7 years now. So I'm always like, we're going to do something together, and we're going to do something Canadian together. But you're Canadian, you're going to do something. So that's the dream. But Jay was nice to do the outline. So yeah, so we have the outline done for this comic. It's done. It's done. And we're just going to have probably someone do the art. Someone do the art. And when I say someone, I mean Sean Isaac. So Sean Isaac, I've been a fan of because Sean did work for Mutants and Masterminds back in the day before he got into comics.
Nice.
I missed an opportunity to work with him. It was like one of those, I just missed them kind of scenario. And I reached out to him and I told him, I'm like, look, this is what I'm looking to do. Can you do it? And he was like, yeah, I can do that. I'm like, yeah. So nice. We got them both. And yes, it is, I can't lie. To reach it, it's kind of high. Their goal is at $15,000. We haven't announced it anywhere. They're our $15,000 goal. And we're only at $2,700 right now. So yes, that's why I want people to do this. Yes, that's why I want us to get to that so we can do it. But no matter what, I'm going to do it if I got to pay for my own out of my own pocket. And it's a possibility. I don't want to pay for it out of my own pocket, but because of events that have just happened, I'll have the money to do that. So I'm like, yes. So yeah, we're going to do it. It may take longer than we planned, but we are going to do it. So
cool. Well, everybody watching, share the heck out of this Kickstarter. Back it, and let's get it up there. I was going to say I was hoping for $6,000 to get the GM screen.
Yes,
but
the screen is already done. I'll just say that much. The screen's already done. The adventure, Starship Down, has not been done. It's been talked about being done. I can't remember who the writer is because the writer is amazingly legit. He's been involved in gaming forever. He works for a video game company. I won't mention his name because technically we haven't signed a deal, but he knows because he owes me a favor and he said he's going to do it, so he's going to do it. I got to twist his arm. But that adventure is kind of inspired by Black Hawk Down and
very cool.
Green Lantern's origin. So it's kind of like that. And now we have first aliens. We talk about aliens. This is our first aliens. And we've done our aliens already. So they're already designed, already ready. It's another one of those things. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I love it though, man. Like I was saying, the depth of connectivity
Ugh.
is just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hate to say it, it only gets crazier. It only gets crazier. I mean, I keep just oh, thank you for backing. I appreciate that. I just keep going deeper and deeper. I try not to, but it's
You can't help yourself. It's
I can't and like for example, okay, so the black box is the name of our prison. When I first came up with doing the black box, I'm like, oh, I'm only gonna do 12 guys for it. That's all I'm gonna do. That's all I need. I'll be the cell block one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I did 12. I said I need to do more. Then I did another 12. And then I said I need to do more. Then I did another 12.
so we're up to
And I
36.
said, and then I said, oh, but I really need to do some really tougher guys. Because most of the guys here are like kind of like power levels 8, power level like 13, 14. We need to have like some Superman, some really high level guys. So then I said, okay, I'll do another one. So I did another 12. And then I said, oh, but I can't just do these 12. They got to be more than that. So then I did another 12.
So
So
60
that's 60 villains that I have.
in
Now,
one prison.
out of the 60, we have complete artwork for 12 of them and complete write-ups for eight, eight of them, 8 or 10. So you got to do that. So yeah, but then I got to do the artwork. Oh no, we have artwork for not 12 of them. We have artwork for 24 of them.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, no, messed up already. 20, 25 because we did demolition. We have a character named Demolition, which is 4 people in one.
Ooh.
Yeah, and like it's like 4 guys. They'll think the Wrecking Crew. It's our version of the Wrecking Crew. So 4 guys with similar powers, but they can merge together from like 2 guys can merge into one, and 3 can merge into one, and all 4 can merge into one, and it's much taller and bigger, and they get bigger and stronger. Or you can have a semi-big guy and 1 guy out, or 2 guys together. So it's yeah, so it's like that kind of thing.
Crazy.
And the reason we call them Demolition because we wanted to do the Wrecking Crew. We couldn't think of anything cooler. And yes, I know it's the same wrestling team from the old 80s. I thought they were a crazy, crappy wrestling team. So we're using the name much better. I couldn't call them the Road Warriors because the Road Warriors are the Road Warriors.
Because yeah.
So Demolition, still cool. That's done.
Oh, I
Yeah.
think we should hit our top 5s.
Yes, let's see. I'm ready.
All right. I'll let you start with number 5.
Number 5 is a comic book movie that isn't a comic book movie, but it is a comic book movie. And I thought about it a while for it, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna pitch this one because the original is the greatest thing, and there was no need to remake it. There was no need to even attempt to remake it, and that's The Crow.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, it's a comic book movie, but it ain't no comic book movie.
No, I get what you mean with it though. But yeah.
That movie. I mean, God, that's so 90s. You can't do a movie like that ever again. It's so 90s. It's 90s.
Yeah, exactly. It's
And then they try to do that revamp of it. And you're like, no, no. I mean, look, kid, I get it. I get you want to do a sequel. It made a lot of money, but Brandon Lee dying in it,
is what made it. It's part of the fabric of that movie.
Yeah, that you really can't. You can't make a movie like that anymore.
No, you cannot. And the Skarsgård version. Ugh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was what it was. It was what it was.
Well, my number 5 is one of the most crapped on movies of all time, but there is a reason I've got it at number 5, and it's Superman 3.
Ooh, wow. Ooh, that's a
my reasoning for it is because the scene between Clark and Bizarro in the junkyard helped me get sober.
Oh,
which is a weird
okay.
sounding thing because I looked at Bizarro as my drug using self, and Clark
Right.
returning to Superman is what I could be. And there was this one day I sat there watching it and I cried and cried. And I'm like, why the hell are you crying at this? And I'm like, you got to get clean, kid.
There you
And
go.
that's what sparked it. So
See,
that's why it
I
hit
like
number
that.
5.
Okay. Okay. See, I like that. See, I like that. Uh, number 4. The number 4 we're on.
Yep.
Number 4 is weird because you think I picked the first one, not the second one. Hellboy 2.
Ooh,
I
okay.
like Hellboy. I there's something about the way it looks, the action, the characters. It's like those are superheroes you don't see. You don't see. You don't see. I mean, the guy who's purely gas and it would infect them. Like, I thought that was the coolest power. Like, that's a great power. You don't see something like that. That's a great power. And I was like, that's cool. Everything about it cool. Plus, Beyonce, not Beyonce del Toro, geez. Guillermo del Toro, he really gets how to make cool looking things.
Yeah, he
That's
does.
how that that's how it should look. It should look that level of cool. Like, God, that was awesome to look at.
Yeah. Oh, Guillermo del Toro.
That's it. There you go.
Yep. I was sitting here trying to think. Well, my number 4 um, kind of plays off of the same theme of your number 5. It's not a comic book movie, but it kind of is. And because it involves a lot of comics and the way the franchise was built out, but Unbreakable.
Uh,
I love that
I
movie.
I liked that movie when I really understood what it was.
Yeah. And it was a
Because at first,
hindsight like once
because
they
when you're
built it
watching, you're
out of
like,
like Mr. Glass and all that, and I'm just like,
right.
damn, that
Well,
was good.
well, it's funny because you go back and go, oh, it's a comic book origin story, and
Yeah.
the moment that character was the pool when he gets trapped in
Yep.
the pool. I'm like, it's a death trap. Oh, and that's what it hit me. It's like, son of a bitch, I'm watching a comic book movie, and
Yep.
that was the moment. That was when you're like, okay, I get it. I get it. Little highbrow, can't deny it. Little highbrow, not what you expected. But then to do, Split and then Glass, it's like, wow, man,
Yeah.
that was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Like that
But once
whole
again,
trilogy is just good. But it's not a
yeah,
comic book movie, but it
but
is.
it is. Now, this isn't a comic book movie, but it should be for my number 3. And it's with a director I usually hate.
Hmm.
And I think this is one of the most underrated films. And it isn't superhero, but it is. There's some connective DNA. Sucker Punch.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that would
You
be
know,
a phenomenal.
uh, like I said, it feels like a comic book. It feels comic book esque, and especially, I mean, the dancing and it's like that whole transformation part. Like, that's kind of I I just think it's really just brilliant. It's like so many people didn't like that film, and I'm just like, you know what, man? The main character you thought was the main character wasn't the main character. Brilliant idea,
Yeah.
but you think it's all about this girl. It's like, no, no, it's really about this girl. It's like you never saw
Yeah.
that coming, and it's like, and the mishmash of genre. The samurais with the machine guns was it's like the guy you got a big old samurai with a mini cannon.
Yeah.
What the what the and we're gonna do Nazis, undead Nazis. Once again,
Yeah.
with the winner.
Yep.
And it's like, what the I mean, and I'm not a Snyder fan by all. I mean, I am not his guy. I am not his
Nope.
guy. I but I gotta admit that movie, it's like that's a movie. That's if you're gonna do a movie, that's the kind of movie I want to see. I want to see something that's visually stimulating. Story, you can always find the best story, but it's like that level of visually stimulating, and I didn't expect it. It's like it was crazy. It was greatly crazy, and that's why I love that.
So my number three, my next three kind of dip into cookie cutter, I guess you would kind of say, but was Iron Man. I think they
Hmm.
absolutely killed it with that movie. And having grown up watching the old Captain American movie, the old Spider-Man movie, that's kind of what I went into that expecting. And
Oh,
it also harkens back to the sobriety thing because of Robert Downey Jr. getting a second shot at
yep.
stardom. And man, did he kill it. And it set Jon Favreau's career on a completely different trajectory than it was on, and brought back now Hollywood icon that I don't like the whole Doctor Doom idea, but that's
Yeah, I'll let that slide because I think they're going to kill him off early. I have a feeling they're using
I
him
hope
as a
so.
bait and switch.
I think
You
so. I
know,
think
I
it's a red herring, and that's what I'm hoping.
right. Um, I, that movie, it's so weird because I collected Iron Man religiously because I've always been big into tech, and Iron Man's armor is always pretty impressive. So I when I really started collecting comic books, the first real run that I collected was Iron Man, and I mean I got the entire John Romita Jr. and Bob Layton run from God what 120 to like 200, and I was like,
Yeah.
and I was just like, so I mean to see them do the first part being we're going to do Iron Man in the gray armor, we're going to get it, it's going to make sense, and you're going to do it modern day. That was pretty
Mm.
impressive. I'm always like, because it's like, look, man, they were talking Vietnam back when they did this, and it made sense. And like,
Yeah.
now that wouldn't have made sense. But this is like, okay, this works. This works. This really, and the armor there, that's how the armor would look.
Yep.
Exactly like that.
Yep.
Got it. Love it. Makes sense. And then the end part with Stain, I'm like, I love they did the Ironmonger armor. I love that run. It's a great run from Iron Man. And it's like you literally took two different stories, mashed them together, and it works. Once again, two things
I was
together.
just take two things and just
You know,
pow.
it's like that.
Yeah.
It's like that's amazing. And that could have been crappy. I mean, that could have easily been
Oh, yeah, because
shit.
I was expecting like, the Captain America where you could tell the white star was cut out of fabric like an
Oh,
hour before they put it on film. You
oh.
know?
But I got to give them credit, man. They really they pulled off a miracle and
Yeah.
impressive.
And I think my favorite scene in that movie is when he goes back to Gomera, beats the shit out of everybody, and then
Oh yeah,
leaves that guy laying there, and he's like, "He's all yours," and he takes
yep.
off. And
Very great Tony Stark. Very and Robert Downey Jr. When I first heard the name, I freaked out. I was like, oh my god, no, not him. And then I really thought about like, no, he's actually Tony.
he's Tony.
Perfect.
Yeah, he is Tony Stark.
Right
Like,
now, I didn't like Chris Evans's Cap. I can't even lie to that. I badmouthed that like crazy. I thought, oh my god, I thought he was the worst pick possible. And then I saw him on screen. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
okay. And he got better every time. He got better and more. I'm like, he really became Cap. And it's like, thank God. That always worried me. That always. Ooh.
yep. So number 2 for
All
you.
right. Number two. Number two is going to be a surprise because it is his film, but I don't consider it to be one of his films. Man of Steel.
Yeah.
I liked Man of Steel. I mean, okay, stop at the ending. The snapping of the neck, that's some BS. But
Yeah.
everything with the Kryptonians, like that makes a lot. I like how they showed Krypton. I think showing Krypton like that makes sense. I
Yep.
like the idea of how they did the Phantom Zone. It's like, oh yeah, that's how that would be, and that would work that way. And it's like everything was, and I like that the Kryptonians had powers similar to him, but they didn't have his powers. They
Right.
didn't have flight. They could only leap. They were still tough, but they weren't 100%. They didn't have heat vision. It's like they were dangerous, but not as dangerous as he could, because he just had been here a long time.
Right.
And I thought that was smart. That was smart. And to show, I mean, Superman's a tough character, but it's Jesus Christ. How do you really make Jesus Christ interesting and not dominating everything? And it's like,
yeah,
that was really tough. But I'm like, yeah, that was a toughie. But it's a great job.
it's
And
such a good movie. It's a rewatch. It's one of
yeah,
those ones that you can
and,
watch every so often, and you're just like, damn, this is good.
and
And Russell Crowe is Jor-El. I mean,
right, you wouldn't have thought, oh, I wouldn't think
no.
that. It's like, yep, perfect. And and Stabler, that even the first time and he and what's your name meet with like when they're first gonna knife fight that first time, I'm like, it's like you're gonna lose. I mean, you saw she put his knife out. He's like, come on. He's like, he knows this is gonna be the end of me. And then right then Supe saves him. And it's just like that moment to me is that's a perfect comic moment. It's like, dude, you're not gonna win this. You're not getting out of this. You're not gonna survive this. It's gonna be horrible for you. And he still was like, I don't care. It's like I'm still gonna go after this guy. And and she was like, oh, I'm impressed. You're gonna lose, but still, all right. You gotta respect
you got
that
some
moment.
cojones.
It's like, all right. And then the reversal of fortune at the end, like, oh, it's like, oh, you got her back. And she's like, you just knew. She's like, son of a bitch.
I shouldn't have said that.
Like, yeah, you're like, oh. And once again, great moment. And that to me, that's what a good superhero film should be.
Yeah. Yep. So my number 2 we actually already talked about tonight was Captain America Winter Soldier. Because I absolutely love that movie, and the fact that like Cap's all about kicking his ass until he turns around on that street and it completely breaks him that he left him and let that happen to him. Or not that he left him, but that he thought he had lost him.
Well,
but in his mind left him and let Bucky become that. And then the whole rest of the movie is a complete reversal. He's just like, I've got to save Bucky.
To me, it's so fun because having read it in the comic already, it was like it's one of those. It's like to hear the fans. I mean, to people who didn't know that, I love that moment. It's like, oh yeah, I love
that. Like in the theaters when
yeah. Right, and it's like, but it's like that movie. I mean, once again, that's the high mark level of the Marvel movies. It's like it couldn't have been better.
No.
They did everything right. And it's like, oh, geez, it's oof.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
God.
Drum roll for your number 1.
All right, so my number 1 was Winter Soldier. Then I thought about it for a while. And I really kept kicking it back in my head, and it's like, you know what? I can't make it Winter Soldier because as much as I love Winter Soldier is, oh my God. And I said, you know what? The best film, and it's not one film, it's 2 films. Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. I mean, and it's funny because it's like the first one. There's certain scenes that I'm like, yeah, that's like one of my favorite scenes, and it's such a weird scene because it's the Vision fighting against what's his face, Ebony Maw.
Oh yeah,
Ebony Maw, Ebony Maw's the other one, Doctor Strange. But you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Squidward.
Yes, and it's funny because it's like that. The Vision is one of my favorite characters in the Avengers. I mean, I always think people always overlook him, and I don't understand why. They always talk about the big 3, and I'm like, no, it's the big 4.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is look at the Kree-Skrull War when you see Iron Man, Cap, Thor, and the Vision, and it's like those 4 guys are devastatingly dangerous. Just those 4. Yep. Those 4 Avengers are. I mean, look, man. Cap and Iron Man and Thor are terrifying by themselves. But when you add in the Vision, it's like, okay, I got a robot brain. I got a robot brain. So that telekinesis, telepathy doesn't work on me. Jean Grey, yeah, you're scary for about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like you might have the Phoenix Force, but when I phase through, you're not gonna be. It's like, whoop, done. Bye bye. Have a nice day. That was fun. And it's like he's got the potential to be one of those terrifying characters. So to see him fight, like, I thought that was great. And then the big reveal, Cap in the subway.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like that's a perfect Cap moment. Because really, I mean, look, Cap, Falcon, Black Widow, not a lot of power. Not a lot of power there. But they snuck on him perfectly. A lot of distraction. Didn't see this coming. It's like, that's a great setup. And then, they lost. They were going to win anyway, but they lost. And they lost.
Big time.
They lost. And that is what it's like. That was great. And of course, Endgame is Endgame.
On your left.
The thing, it's like, that's a great scene. I mean, everything about it. I mean, the three of them fighting Thanos was impressive. And then Cap's like, oh, I'm all by myself. Oh, well, strap on my arm. It's time to, it's like, dude, you're outnumbered. You're going to lose. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to go. And it's like, that to me was like, like I said, that couldn't have been, that movie could not have been better. And and here's the downside. It's such a high mark. I don't know how you're going to get Doom and Galactus to do the same thing.
Yeah, they're going to have to work awful hard
because it's like, okay, if we're going to introduce the Silver Surfer in the first one, and we're going to do Galactus, it's like, dude, it took a long time for us to get Thanos. And Galactus should be that level of terror, because it's not even like, there's no malevolence. It's just, you've got a planet, you've got energy. I'm hungry. I need to eat.
Yeah, time to eat.
Right. It's like, it's that simple. So it's like, how do you do that? And Kang was a great idea. Kang was a great idea.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of derailed a lot of their plans when.
Oh, I gotta admit, it wasn't the best look for them, but getting rid of him so quickly was so premature.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a Disney corporation. You can't do any of that stuff. You can't do anything wrong on Disney.
Nope.
You can do a redemption arc.
Yeah.
You can do a redemption arc, but you can't do it in the middle of it.
No.
But it's like, but he also wasn't the guy I wanted for Kang anyway. I mean, Kang is one of those characters that's like, I wanted someone a little older. I wanted a Shakespearean actor. I wanted someone a little more.
Giancarlo would have been perfect.
He would have been, but at the same time, it's like, do I want to waste him on that?
Yeah.
It's him playing, and like, okay, so the new Cap movie, he's theoretically playing Sidewinder, which I was like, I knew it was from and I said that before anybody else. I was like, that's Sidewinder. With the coat and the jacket, I'm like, it's Sidewinder. It's got to be Sidewinder. And I'm like, oh, but G.W. Briggs didn't make any sense. I'm like, no, why would they waste him on that character? It's like Serpent Society, yeah, we can do. Okay, great. You can play that. That's kind of cool. You can do some cool spy stuff, and he can become recurring. Because even in the comics, he's reoccurring. So I'm like, all right, this could be good. But it's Kang is one of those villains. It's tough to be that guy. It's like Loki. You got to find the right person for him. And once you get the right guy, it's like when you get the right guy, it's like, yeah, Loki, great choice. That's like, that was perfect. So it's like you got to, and having Robert Downey as Doom, I'm like, no.
I saw that and I was just like, what?
I gotta wonder if they're gonna be really crazy, and because it's like, even the guy they picked for Reed, who I'm not a big fan of, I'm like, why is he Reed?
Yeah,
he's not the guy I picked for Reed. But I'm like, what if they're setting up the Maker, the evil Reed from the Open Universe? It's like, and what if, God, I forgot his name, Jim from The Office is gonna play that?
Yeah, because he already did. So
right, and it's like, why would you waste him like that?
Yeah, to have him turned into spaghetti,
Right, you're like, maybe it's like, well, it's like, maybe that could be that could be a kind of a cool villain, because we wouldn't see it coming. It would make something good for Reed. The fans get a little fan service, and that's always a good thing. And him playing the villain, or even better, the kid who played Reed from the second Fantastic Four movie, the real crappy one.
Oh,
Michael B. Jordan.
yes.
Right.
Miles Teller.
Thank you. Have him play it. It's like, now that could be interesting. Like, ooh, that could be interesting. Now, it's like, and I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that. Let's see where this goes. And maybe, we find another Doom. We find another Doom, or we hold Doom off. But I don't think Doom could be the big villain. I think Doom has to be like Loki. It has to be the long-term guy who's the villain, but we like him. So we want to keep seeing him.
Yep. I hope it's a red herring. That's all I can hope for.
That would be beautiful. Yeah. All right. What's your number one? Let's hear it.
Me goes back to the 90s, actually. Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire, and then to see him come back was like, where they're like, you look like you're a youth pastor. It was just like
that was true.
A hip youth pastor, he did. But like that movie demonstrated what the future could be for comic book movies. And I mean, Willem Dafoe is the Green Goblin, for one, is just such a is outstanding.
And then have him come back.
Yeah. To have him and then
everybody.
Why can't I think of his name that played Doc Ock?
Yes. I know you mean.
What is his name?
I see his face, and
Alfred Molina.
Thank you.
It's like, but to have that whole crew come back from those movies, with the exception of what's his face that cut his arm off in the Rock
Lizard,
movie.
Yeah. I'm okay with that, because the Lizard's one of those characters. Is like, I'm okay. It's gonna be mostly CG. You're not gonna release the guy. Okay, I'll let that slide. But yeah, Willem Dafoe. I mean, good Lord. He was crazy as hell, and that was,
and the whole, just the way they did everything with like Randy Savage of all people playing Bonesaw, and it's
which is hilarious, because once again they could have, if they had taken a couple seconds out, I would have been. It would have been great if Randy Savage was supposed to be Crusher Carl Creel, the Absorbing Man.
Yeah.
Because that's what was in his life. I was like, if you'd done that, I'd have been like, well, okay, well, this is perfect. This is, it was great to get Randy, and it's Randy being Randy. But I was like, why didn't someone go, you know what? Let's just make him Creel. Let's just make him Creel. We'll set it up. We won't really do it. We're not gonna do it anyway. And just make him that. So I'm like, Bonesaw, and then you get Ash to play the announcer.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell.
Like,
that was great.
It's like, like, you didn't do
You're
that.
mine for 3 minutes. I just did 2. But this is perfectly sums it up. It seems that Marvel burned out their creativity with Endgame. I could not agree more, really. It's
I don't blame Marvel for that. I blame the success of their movies, because let's be honest, Iron Man, Thor, Cap, no one gave a rat's ass about them. No one cared about. I mean, Iron Man was a character. You had to be a comic book fan to know who Iron Man was.
Yeah.
And Thor, you're like, okay.
The God of Thunder, woo.
And Captain America, you're like, no, all right, whatever. And it's like, they got through those, and they got the first Avengers film. It's like, okay, great. You pulled off a minor miracle. You pulled off the films. That's great. And then when they said, okay, we're going to do Winter Soldier, I think Winter Soldier was the peak going, we're going to make really great movies. And it's not going to be the BS you thought it was going to be. And they pulled it off.
Yep.
And let's be honest, movie fans are not comic book fans. They're not used to going to a movie where you're going to keep going up, 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 up. We're going to get this crescendo. Great. Everything gets resolved. And we're going to do some more stuff. So we're going to have to work again. People just assumed it was going to go up and continue to go up. It's like, that's not how this works. We got to go back to a reset point and do some cool stuff. Because I mean, look, Shang-Chi, no.
You didn't like that? I loved that movie.
What I didn't like, Shang-Chi is a kung fu guy. I dig the kung fu. I didn't like the rings giving him superpower and then going into the typical Marvel, we're gonna do the big CGI fight at the end.
But like that bus fight scene, oh my
Oh, the bus
God.
fight scene was great. I mean, that kind of stuff was great. It's like they needed to make it smaller. Learn from Daredevil. It's
Yeah.
like Daredevil did it smaller. And that's how you can do it. You can do it smaller. You can do it a more personal story. It doesn't have to be, and I think that was a problem. People expected to be bombastic, and they said you got to do it better. Like, no, go low, low. Make it down here. But they did.
Oh, it's like Owen's thing of street level heroes. That's what you got to have now.
You know,
this is when they should be bringing back like Luke Cage and
thank you. And it's like we know they got to come. It's like, look, you brought back Daredevil. We know you're going to do Luke Cage because that was a winner. Jessica Jones wasn't my favorite, but it was still good.
It was good, yeah.
But in Iron Fist, I just
I don't think they could have picked. I don't know if it was the actor or the writing or what it was, but that show, the way it hit, was just like taking a wet towel, taking it up 3 stories, and dropping it on the ground. The sound it would make, the way that thing flopped.
You know, it is one of those. It's like, look, I get why you did Cage the way you did Cage, and I get why you did Daredevil, and even Jessica Jones. Iron Fist is a popular character, but not that popular. You know, I think if Iron Fist, if they'd done the Defenders a little different, they shouldn't have called it Defenders. That's the other part to it, and should have been Heroes for Hire, but whatever.
Yep.
If they made Iron Fist and Cage season 2 together, I think that could have helped out Iron Fist and get a better actor. But Jesus Almighty,
yeah,
you got to get somebody who's ever been in a fight.
Well, or at least find a way to personality.
Yeah, he was not the right guy, and it's like I think he tried better when they had him come back in Cage, and then but it's like still, man, it's like, dude, your kung fu looks like crap.
Yeah.
And it's like, why didn't they put him in a mask? If the kung fu was that bad, put him in a mask. Just put him in a mask, put him in an Iron Fist mask, and get a stuntman in there. Get a stuntman in there to do it.
Right,
that's what you do with Daredevil. It's like that's what you did with Daredevil. It's like that's the smart thing to do. Yep. Cover the face up. Boom. Luke Cage, you don't have to. The cool thing about Luke is you got to stand there and punch people. It's easy to understand.
Yeah, and he can stand there and take a punch.
Yeah, it's like, well, okay, it's great. Just
the show that really blew me away though was The Punisher, man. Like John Bernthal, man, holy shit, was he the perfect pick for that role?
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like I didn't know how good he'd be at that, but it's like he just got better.
Yeah,
it's like when you first see him the first time, you're like, oh, geez, oh, this is good. And then you say, like, oh, this is good. And this is it's like, Jesus, this is getting better and better. But once again, the TV show figured it out. They knew what they were telling. They knew what story they wanted to tell.
Yep. And I'm so glad they're bringing him back for the movies as the Punisher too. And there's no way they could replace him. No. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it's like the guy who did it before, did the movie before. I can't remember his name now. The previous Punisher.
Oh, Thomas Jane.
Thank you. Not a bad actor. Not bad.
But he wasn't. He wasn't Italian for one, and he
right. And it's like I get what you're trying to do, but did you ever hear the theory about the Punisher appearing in Winter Soldier?
No.
There's a you can find on the internet. It blows my mind, and I love this theory. So remember when Nick Fury's being chased down DC by the members of the cops doing it?
Yep.
Remember when that one truck comes and smashes into the cop car?
Yep. Oh, are they saying
that the Punisher was driving it?
Interesting.
And I thought about it a lot, and I was like, that could actually work because that would be something that he would do, knowing that it was fan of Nick, knows what's going on. It's like they could tie that in so easily, kind of cool,
Like
and
a
still like
flashback in the when
right.
they do the Punisher.
It's like he's just driving the truck. Just he knows Nick. He knows it's a setup. Boom, boom, just trying to save him. Boom, and just walk away. It's something really simple. Boom, boom, and keep walking away.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's crazy, but that's just crazy enough to make it cool.
Yep.
Because people wouldn't expect it. It would be great. You see it on screen, you're like, what the hell is this? Wait, oh!
Yeah. That would be another one of those like yelling moments in the theater.
Right.
If you just saw him get out of that and walk off.
I don't think they have enough of those anymore. It's like they don't know how to. I mean, okay. So the Marvels was not good.
Nope.
And I still don't understand what was the purpose of the villain, because I didn't understand the villain's motivation. And Ms. Marvel, okay, I didn't watch that. It wasn't for me. I get it. I'm okay with that. But once again, it's like the Captain Marvel thing is a problem. And I don't know if it's Brie Larson or they're trying to turn Captain Marvel into Wonder Woman so badly. But I can't figure out why they can't get that shit together.
Yeah. There's a couple things that they just haven't been able to get their shit together with.
Right. And you just look and you go, I don't. And you spend all this money doing this stuff. It's like, Moon Knight. Moon Knight.
Yep.
I won't say I didn't like it. I didn't love it. I like some of the ideas. I like some of the concepts.
It's actually what I'm wearing for a shirt while we're.
it made sense in certain spots, but yeah, that was. But once again, I think it would have been better if they had tied it into Werewolf by Night somehow.
Yeah,
like it was supposed to.
Well, I can't wait to see the Midnight Suns like they're talking about.
Right. Well, are we going to get Ghost Rider? And which Ghost Rider are we getting?
Well, now did you see the latest rumor that it's going to be Norman Reedus playing Ghost Rider?
Which I'm like, do I want him as Johnny Blaze? Because I think he fits that role pretty well. But do I want to see Danny Ketch be the Ghost Rider? And like, it's like 5 minutes of him doing that, and then we're going to make the young kid the new Ghost Rider.
Right.
Because Johnny Blaze, I mean, that character, he's around, but he's not really around.
Right.
And then the car version of him, the car version of Ghost Rider was just like, what the, come on.
Yeah.
That was the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, he's got a motorcycle.
We all know it's a motorcycle.
Yeah.
A guy riding a flaming motorcycle is cool. It doesn't get any cooler than that. Like, hello?
Like pulling up, dragging that chain and just freaking.
It's one of the most iconic fantasy, looking characters, because there's nothing about him. It's like motorcycles, nothing fantasy about it. A guy riding, that's outlaw biker all the way. And every all biker goes, I want to be that cool. Because that's cool. That's cool in one,
Where they're doing the multiverse. Where they're doing the multiverse. I'd love to see Nick Cage for 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Look, if they put Nick Cage in a Superman costume, yes, we can get Nick Cage as Ghost Rider. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. That's a win. That's a win.
That shot of him with the perm and everything, and it's like, come on.
What were they thinking? But hey, see, another movie that got ragged, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, and did a lot of fan service. The Flash. The actor isn't the kid I wanted, but
yeah, I really liked the kid from the show, and I wish they had brought him over.
Yeah, I don't. How Hollywood is. Oh, he's not our guy. It's like, well, the guy
Yeah.
turned out to be a nutcase and
Yep.
helped destroy. It's like this could have been the center point. And if you got the guy from the TV show, he already has a fan base. He already knows how to act right. He's not acting up. He's acting perfectly right.
Yep.
But
Yep.
they didn't get that from the TV show. Once again, I don't get it. It's like the TV shows. They did such a good job with Arrow and with Flash. Why not give them some movies?
Yeah, because they both did a phenomenal job. Like,
You know,
in
it's
those
like
roles.
for years. You know, it's like they have a fan base. Yeah, they don't have a big one as Israel, but I mean, how big is his fan base now?
0, like maybe 10.
Yeah,
you know. And my
I didn't
computer is
understand. Once
making all
again, I
kinds
didn't.
of weird noises. I gotta make sure, just check something here. I don't know what's going on. It keeps making weird beeps at me in my headphones.
See.
Oh man.
See now you made me think of Cyborg in that movie. That guy. That guy.
Oh God. Jeez. But again, it falls back like Zack Snyder. You know, it's like,
you know, I have to give Zach a little because of the whole suicide and
yeah. I mean, you do have to cut him a little slack,
but then Joss Whedon came, so I'm always like, what the I mean, and okay, explain to me. Joss went from beloved individual to hated individual mighty quick.
Yeah, like overnight.
And I'm like, okay, I don't know what happened on the set of Buffy, but you all loved him through Buffy, through Angel. It's like, and then it's like, and then all of a sudden, and it's like, I don't know what happened with his wife. I don't know if it's true. I wasn't there. I can't speak to any of that stuff. And going through divorce, we all know anything can happen. So I don't know if it was true or not. All I know is people loved him and they turned on him and it was quick.
Yeah.
And,
very quick.
And it's like, how about we actually know what the hell's going on? Because, you know, everybody's got an agenda to tell the good side, you know?
Well,
so how about we actually
find out like,
what's going on?
Whenever you talk about the wife and the divorce, all I can think of is Amber Heard pooping in the bed. And that's
what kind of person poops in the bed?
I
what
know.
Kind of wildness?
Well, that's why I gave her the nickname, and I think a lot of other people did too, of Amber Turd after that one, you know.
It's like, I'm like, what the? It's like, just if you don't like Johnny Depp, just go away. Just go away.
Yeah.
Just go away. Johnny won't like, like, okay, it didn't work out. All right, well, you know, it happens.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a dump in your bed.
you gotta really hate somebody to put a dump in your bed. Like, geez.
That's like the most sinister Easter Bunny trick ever.
God damn. Yeah, I'd be like, you're done. Okay, we're done. Goodbye. Yeah. Goodbye. We don't need to. We don't need to
get out.
So we don't need to go to court about this. Never. I am good. Jesus.
Yeah.
Ugh. Nasty. So goddamn nasty.
Oh man. I think that's the perfect way to wrap it up, my friends, to end it talking about that. I would stay on here all night talking about the most randomly weird shit with you because I have had an absolute blast, man.
Oh, thank you for having me. I do appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, and thanks to you guys for sticking around the whole night. Yeah, we've had this crew with us the whole evening.
I'm sorry if I get a little verbose.
Yeah, we went way off the rails. It's typical with my interviews. So, but anyone watching in the future, I hope you enjoyed the show, including our pooping in the bed talk. And, if anyone watching in the very near future, back this Kickstarter. Let's get it up to 15 grand. And still got 20 days left, right? Is it 20 days?
20 days, yeah, 20 days. Yeah.
So yeah, we got plenty of time to get this up there. Let's just go to town and get this up to 15 grand and make it so Lewis can make this everything it can be. And Newtsy, Keycan 300, thank you so much for sticking around tonight and for being so active. For anyone that dug this interview, give it a like, leave a comment, and maybe subscribe to the channel. And definitely, if you haven't already, jump over and get on Lewis's Patreon too, because it's the best
crazy.
$5 you're going to spend.
It's crazy over there. It only gets crazier.
Yep.
Oh, yes, and to make you just remember Hannibal Caine, Ulysses Caine.
Yeah. When we go off the air, I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. All right, folks. Well, thanks for watching, Lewis. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
And we will see you next time, folks.